You got your bucket list, your grocery list, your list of things to do. You got a list of all your wishes, that's a wish list, dude. You got your Amazon and Santa Claus and Tooth Fairy too. But I know a list that don't exist, and buddy, so do you. It's the Epstein list, it's a mystery list with a twist. It's a myth of a list that we all just missed. Be an optimist, not a pessimist. If you wish to persist, it's probably best to forget that list. Now what were we talking about? I don't remember, but I can sleep a lot better at night. Yeah, life can just go along. Knowing there's 10,000 hours of sunshine and flowers and nobody doing a damn thing wrong. Hear no, see no, damn Bongino, cash patel. Well, I wouldn't wanna be a sweating men with bulging eyes. Now tell me them fellas ain't compromised. Any implicated dude will tell you. Anybody on the big list knows just how far the folks in charge will go to keep the status quo. So when the war bell rings, the song that they'll sing is a song that we well know. I hope. So it's off to war I go. Well, they said they's gonna fix it, but now they're all complicit. They-oh. So it's off to war we go. Send the poor off to war. What else we for? They-oh.
Dang. Woo! Feisty. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to my program. I am your host, Joe Neerman, aka Good Lawgic. Hope you had a phenomenal 2 days now, because it's how long it's been since I see you. And yes, I missed you too. I did. I could have seen you like an hour earlier if you would have popped over to Locals, because it's still going now over at goodlogic.locals.com. Goodlogic. That's where the diggers are hanging. The diggers are hanging there in Locals as we are, as they help me flesh out the show, flesh it, mold it. And when I say mold it, literally one of them gave me something about Pompeii erotic art or something. We're probably not going there. But they did. That did. Like it was like Yahtzee war art that had been recovered or something like that. And I was just like, okay. I don't know. You never know what you're going to get. And if they give me something new in there, that's over at goodlodge.locals.com. You'll see a live stream going on there. If you pop in there, you can watch the show backstage. And if you want to cram something in that you want me to cover, and I'm able to actually catch wind of it while I'm doing this, which there's a pretty decent chance of that, actually. Pretty decent chance, because I keep peeking on over there. In that case, yeah, that will happen. Also, I have a running thing going on in case you don't see it because you're over in the ghetto there with the Rumble Folk. So I have, I'm going to do a 3-hour show tonight if, in fact, we reach our goal, which is 15 yellows or higher, 15 $10 super chats or higher within 2 hours. Very, very doable. Whenever I said, the reason I like that goal is because it's something that we sometimes hit and sometimes don't. So I think it's like a good yardstick. It's a good measuring, something realistic, but not easily attained. So that makes it the right thing. All right, fans, that thing you just threw out there is something already. They already gave me that. Fans. They gave me that. We're going there. We're gonna get there eventually. But let's first and foremost, let's go with what I put in my let's go with what we were talking about from the very beginning here. That was specifically the issue with respect to Trump's health. You see in the thumbnail there, there's issues with respect to his health. And let's start there so we can sort of put that sucker to bed, because I think it's, however you're feeling about Trump recently, obviously the status of his health is something that's really important. And it really starts with, I guess, a letter. See, yardstick that. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, do it for Johnny. Sorry. Okay, so we start up with this memorandum of law. What? No, I'm Jay Diddy. I go 3 hours, baby. I'm the Punisher. Yeah, I don't know. There you go. That's how you start it off right. That's how you start it off. So it all starts with this little memo here that came out to Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, from Sean P. Barbarella, DO, physician to the president, captain in the U.S. Navy. Subject: President Donald J. Trump's health status update. In recent weeks, President Trump noted mild swelling in his lower legs. In keeping with routine medical care and out of abundance of caution, this concern was thoroughly evaluated by the White House medical unit. The president underwent a comprehensive examination, including diagnostic vascular studies, bilateral lower extremity venous. One of them will say it in the clip here. I think it's venous. Venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, not enough veins working properly. A benign and common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70. Importantly, there was no evidence of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease. That is very important. I can tell you that because my Bobby, which is what Jews call their grandma, my mother's mother, rest her soul, she had deep vein thrombosis. I think she definitely had a circulation issue with her legs, which ultimately is what cost her life. So it's nice to know that this is not something that, God forbid, would be life-threatening for President Trump. The president underwent a comprehensive examination, including, we've got the laboratory testing, included complete blood count, comprehensive metabolic panel, coagulation profile, D-dimer, B-type, natriuretic peptide, and cardiac biomarkers. All results were within normal limits. An echocardiogram was also performed and confirmed normal cardiac structure and function. That is measuring how his heart's doing. That's designed to let us know, is this, because you would, as you can well imagine, someone who has various issues with respect to their blood flow circulation, that's where you start worrying about that having an impact on his coronary function. If blood isn't flowing through properly. No signs of heart failure, renal impairment, or systemic illnesses were identified. Additionally, recent photos of the president have shown minor bruising on the back of his hand. This is consistent with minor soft tissue irritation from frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin, which is taken as part of a standard cardiovascular prevention regimen. This is a well-known and benign side effect of aspirin therapy. I don't think this is treatable. This is likely something he's going to have the rest of his life. I don't think that this is something that they can remedy. I haven't seen anyone say that, but they say it's not. In other words, so the ugly side effects, when they say, thank God, summary, President Trump remains in excellent health. Thank God. May he remain in excellent health for many decades to come. I do not think that this is something that can be cured. It's just a condition that he's going to have to learn to live with, which, sucks, obviously, but at least it's nothing that's crazy impactful on him, right? That's definitely something. Also, I want to know a little bit more about this. We'll check out this report here, which is a relatively shorter one that I had pulled up here. I want to start there. We'll start with this one.
Tonight, with recent photos showing what appear to be swelling in President Trump's ankles and bruises on his hands.
And he does have swelling in his ankles. His ankles look like Hillary's ankles, to be honest with you. Like those same cankles that Hillary has had forever.
Announcement from the White House.
In the effort of transparency, the president wanted me to share a note from his physician with all of you today.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt reading a letter from the president's doctor revealing he's been diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency, a common swelling of the legs caused by blood pooling in the veins.
In recent weeks, President Trump noted mild swelling in his lower legs. Bilateral lower extremity venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70. Importantly, there was no evidence of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease.
That physician letter, which the White House released, noting an echocardiogram was also performed and confirmed normal cardiac structure and function. No signs of heart failure, renal impairment, or systemic illness were identified. Adding, the president remains in excellent health. The White House says the president, who's 79, is not experiencing pain or discomfort.
Chronic venous insufficiency, it's actually quite common. It occurs in about 40 to 50% of adults older than the age of 70.
We spoke to vascular surgeon Dr. Lee Kirksey at the Cleveland Clinic. What are the symptoms typically?
Those patients with mild symptoms may simply have occasional leg swelling. In the most severe instances, patients may experience discoloration or even skin ulceration.
As for the bruising on his hand, seen here during a meeting with French President Macron in February and appearing to be covered by makeup earlier this week, the White House physician saying it's consistent with minor soft tissue irritation from frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin, taken as a standard cardiovascular prevention regimen. Trump has repeatedly joked about the amount of handshaking his role requires, including after this lengthy receiving line during his recent trip to the Middle East.
I shook more hands than any human being is capable of doing. That was a long deal, and they were big people.
Garrett joins us tonight from the White House. So, Garrett, how is this diagnosis expected to affect the president going forward?
Well, Tom, the White House insists that it won't. A White House official tells me the president doesn't intend to make any changes to his schedule or to his lifestyle. They say today's disclosure is much more about transparency than any kind of particular medical concern. Tom?
All right, Garrett Hake leading us off tonight.
I got nothing more here. Tom? That's what I need. I need a Tom I can sort of, when I'm like out of things to say. That's what I should do. I should just be like, Tom, Tom, pick me up, Tom, pick me up, Tom. Oh, yeah, okay. So back to me now. Back to me. Let me pick up the ball and run with it now. I need a Tom. So thank God, it seems as if this is not really a very serious deal. Doesn't seem like it seems as if it's going to be, it's obviously not, it's not aesthetically pleasing, but the man is turning 80. So, he's heading toward his 9th decade on the circle. These are how the bodies start betraying us as we get older. So thank God. If you've heard anything about his health, rest assured, and according to his doctors, everything is really fine. And he remains in excellent health, and it shouldn't even interrupt his normal schedule. I only say it like that because it makes me sound British. And otherwise, if I don't sound British once in a while, you'll think I'm too much of a man. 3 hours. Yeah, sorry, got that. Starting it off, we got that. Starting it off. Well done. Big Boop, member for 9 months. Good to see you. Sorry, Joe, lost my job this week. Membership's gone until the Lord brings my next job around. Pray for me, diggers. It's a tough job market in tech. I'm sorry. I wish you the best of luck in finding a replacement. That's terrible. That's terrible. I'm sorry about that. And Nano's gifting. Hopefully, I hope you got Big Boop. Nano's gifting 5 good Lawgic memberships. Well done, brother. Well done indeed. Who'd you bring into the fold? Let me see who you brought here. Lawgic memberships. Well done. Where are you? I gotta scroll. There it is. Following 5 people brought into the following, courtesy of Nano's. When you hear your name, kindly express your gratitude if you have not already done so, which I assume most of you probably have. But hey, number 6 or something. Look at that. Received a gift membership. Bye. Welcome to the following, Joey. Welcome. As well as Rude Dog, Karen O, Jay Liebga, and Neurotic. I think you all know I think you all already know. I don't even have to tell you that the following is not at all a cult type of cult. I think I recognize pretty much everyone here on this list. And I just want to say it's overdue. Finally, these 5 important and special people were brought into the following. And that's not the end of the gifts. I see 5.56 Tsunami gifting 10. Hey, with 10 new members of the following. Who'd you bring us? We got Richard Wharton, Diamond G, Anth, Michael K, Eclectic Deb, 3 Dots, Mismo SC, Brian Ogden, all the OG getting it tonight. Gilly, Claude, Louis, Mattman62, and Karen Mannings all the way out in Germany. All gifted courtesy of the one and only 5.56 Tsunami. This is like an international tsunami going on there that it made all the way up to like Karen out in Germany. So on behalf of Karen, I say to you, 5.56 Tsunami, Dankeschön. Also, those of you who are new to the following, please bear in mind that the following is not at all a cult type of cult. There's no Kool-Aid, no spaceships, no tracksuits that are mandatory, no dancing around bonfires in the middle of a forest, the beat of a tom-tom, shucking your clothing off, no throwing virgins in volcanoes, no goat's head, no squirrel sacrifices. It's not at all a cult type of cult. So, welcome to the following. Mild farm work may be required. And Kimmy, my girl Kimmy, you had a rough week this week, I know. So I watched you on Rumble on my Roku TV app. Thumbs up. I didn't even know that I was on Roku. I'm on Roku. Cool. Have you on my iPhone on YouTube, like and super chat? Nice. It's nice. I need to get a new promo code for locals. I had my first internal radiation yesterday. And thank God you seem like you're okay today. I know that's very exhausting, they say, right? I will take care of you on that. DM me on X and I'll take care of you. Okay? So there you go. It's time for us to get into the digger part of the show, because the rest of the stuff that I have here, for the most part, was provided by the diggers. So if you hear me talking about Epstein, don't blame me. Okay, I do have a final veto power if it's something that I think is not going to be really good. I don't know what the heck I'm supposed to be doing with erotic art from Pompeii. But yes, that's real. All right. Yes, that's real. Okay. We'll start with the newest things. These are things that you may not have heard. You likely have not heard. Oh, look, I am definitely not a cult juice. Thank you very much. And Lynn Huss saying, funny how we never get this kind of health report about. Why is that? We never got any of these health reports? Nothing at all. Everyone was like, he's falling down the stairs. Aren't you even worried? He banged his head. Trust me, it can only help. Aren't you worried? He's an old man who fell on the stairs. Oh my God, don't worry. We got lots of other body doubles for him. All right, so this is what we got. This broke at 9:07 p.m. So this is hot off the press pretty much. Based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I've asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. This scam, perpetuated by the Democrats, should end right now. Now, I have heard others who have been calling for this. Hey, why wouldn't you release the grand jury stuff? Let us know what that was. Give us that. Now, this raises a question. What should we see? What should we expect to see in the grand jury stuff? the grand jury stuff. Give us all the pertinent grand jury testimony. Will this help put things to bed? In order to understand that, we need to look at the indictment. It's been a while. It's been a minute since we looked at the indictment, likely. It's been a minute. This is the Epoch Times reporting on it, but we don't really need that. Let's look at the grand jury indictment. And then we're going to start to see, is this something which will put things to bed or not? All right. I'm just going to remind you before we go through this. There's two buckets of Epstein stuff. Okay? There's two buckets. There is the stuff that Ghislaine Maxwell was prosecuted for. These are they're all the same type of arena of things, but very different from the perspective of the people screaming, "We want the list!" The difference is that the reason we want the list is because there's a notion, which is, pretty well founded, that the deep state exists and that they will cover up anything. And we have reasons to suspect that they were covering up activities that Epstein is involved in. Try to make sure that that's not, stuff that he's going to get in serious trouble for. But there's two buckets of this. It's not just about the minors, because it's very well documented that in bucket A, we have all of his evil and disturbing and gross activities that he was engaged in for his own personal gratification. And to the extent that Ghislaine Maxwell helped facilitate that, she's serving 20 years now. But this is all just, girls who, not to trivialize this, because it's horrible that anyone should have, any underage girl was forced to be in the same room as his exposed egg-shaped genitalia. But that's what I've been calling bucket A, his personal gratification. Then we have, how much was he offering up those girls to third parties for the purposes potentially of there being a honeypot type of operation. A honeypot is a reference, in case you're unfamiliar with the term, it's a reference to when intelligence agencies say, hey, we want to get people in compromising positions. So if we can basically get video or different proof of a very influential, important individual, they could be a celebrity, they could be a politician, they could be just a wealthy married dude. But if we can get them in a compromising position on video, we can then use that to leverage them, let them know, hey, we own you now, because if not, we're going to release these videos to your wife, the public, the media, your boss, whatever, your parents. We're just going to humiliate the hell out of you, or potentially have you thrown in jail if you're doing something illegal, which is what this seems like he's doing. So it's a way to basically exert control and or extract and extort money from them, blackmail them. Now, there's a lot of reasons to speculate that intelligence agencies put Epstein in a position to enable him to facilitate that type of activity so that they could exert pressure on him. That's called a honeypot, because the girl who is used to ensnare the powerful individual is the quote-unquote honeypot that's drawing the flies to the honey. So they call that a honeypot operation. So that is very different from him partaking of this sick, depraved stuff, is how much was going on that he was allowing this depraved activity to go, was facilitating this depraved activity through the help of various intelligence agencies who figured, oh, we don't mind throwing these girls to the wolves because it's going to help empower us. It's going to help give us leverage over these individuals who will be compromised. That's all part of bucket list B. To the extent that he's using stuff for his own personal gratification, his own personal depraved tastes, likely no intelligence agency is looking for that, because they're not looking to leverage him. They're looking to have Epstein be the pimp, so to speak, to help leverage these powerful individuals. So with the deep state involvement is not going to be involved in bucket A. The only thing they're really involved in is bucket B. That's all that, and that's what everyone wants to know about. How much is the deep state controlling these different intelligence agencies and basically directing them, hey, you're going to basically abuse and allow underage girls to be abused over and over and over for the purposes of empowering us and enriching us, or, you know, maybe blackmailing for money or whatever it is, to basically empower and put these individuals in compromising positions. So the only thing that the public today cares about really is bucket B. Bucket A, we all know about. And it's well documented that his appetite, his depraved appetite, was so excessive, so insatiable, that he was personally, at certain points in his life, using 3 different girls a day. Three different times a day that he was doing this. He was a monster of a man. Terrible, terrible monster. Awful, evil, and insatiable monster. But what the public really cares about is not that bucket A monstrosity. It's the bucket B monstrosity involving third parties. And with that, I want to look with you at this indictment and see how much is involving bucket B versus bucket A. Because the indictment, all the transcripts that we're going to get are going to be supporting this indictment. So if there's nothing in there about bucket B, there's not going to be any evidence that came up at the grand jury that is going to make you or anyone feel satisfied, because you're just going to have witnesses coming in there testifying about bucket A, and there's not going to be any evidence that's proffered about bucket B. So that's why I want to share with you what is actually in this indictment, and, you know, so we can sort of figure, well, how good is this going to be? The grand jury charges, not very long indictment, it's 14 pages. That over the course of many years, Epstein, the defendant, exploited and abused dozens of minor girls, it's hundreds, at his homes in Manhattan, New York, and Palm Beach, Florida, among other locations, in particular from at least around 2002 up to and including at least around 2005. Epstein, the defendant, enticed and recruited and caused to be enticed and recruited minor girls to visit his mansion in Manhattan, New York, and his estate in Palm Beach, Florida, to engage in sex acts with him, not third parties, after which he would give the victim hundreds of dollars in cash. Moreover, in addition, in order to maintain and increase his supply of victims, Epstein also paid certain of his victims to recruit additional girls to be similarly abused by Epstein. In this way, Epstein created a vast network of underage victims for him to sexually exploit in locations including New York and Palm Beach. The victims described herein were as young as 14 years old. I think they were as young as 12, is from what I've heard. At the time that they were abused by Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, and were, for various reasons, often particularly vulnerable in exploitation. A lot of them were dirt poor, had no money at all. Epstein intentionally sought out minors that he knew many of his victims were in fact under the age of 18, including because in some instances, minor victims expressly told him their age. So it's not like he was confused about this. In creating and maintaining this network of minor victims in multiple states to sexually abuse and exploit, Epstein, the defendant, worked and conspired with others, including employees and associates who facilitated his conduct by, among other things, contacting victims and scheduling their sexual encounters with Epstein at the New York residence and his Palm Beach residence. Here's our fact. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. During all time periods that charged in this indictment, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, was a financier with multiple residences in continental United States. Beginning at least 2002, Epstein, the defendant, enticed and recruited and caused to be enticed and recruited dozens of minor girls, paying them hundreds of dollars to both New York and Florida. Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, participated in abuse in similar ways. Victims were initially recruited to provide massages, which would be performed nude or partially nude, would become increasingly sexual in nature, would typically include one or more sex acts. Epstein paid his victims hundreds of dollars in cash for each encounter. Moreover, Epstein actively encouraged certain of his victims to recruit additional girls. Epstein incentivized his victims to become recruiters by paying these victim recruiters hundreds of dollars for each girl that they brought into Epstein, and maintain a steady. That's how he maintained a steady supply. At all times relevant to this indictment, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, possessed and controlled a multi-story private residence on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. You have to tie in, because this is in the Southern District in New York, so this is their effort to tie it into New York, even though most of the activity happened in Palm Beach. But they have to tie in some of the activity here in Manhattan. Between at least in or around 2002 or 2005, Epstein abused numerous minor victims at the New York residence by causing these victims to be recruited to engage in paid sex acts. When a victim arrived at the New York residence, typically would be escorted in a room with a massage table where they would perform a massage on sick, filthy, disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. The victims, who were as young as 14 years old, were told by depraved Epstein or other individuals to partially or fully undress before beginning the massage. During the encounter, this sick monster Epstein would escalate the nature and scope of physical contact with his victims, and groping and direct and indirect with the victim's genitals. Sick monster Epstein typically would also pleasure himself during these sexualized encounters, ask the victims to touch him while he was doing that and touching them, and basically being as much of a ditty as possible. In connection with each encounter, sick monster Epstein or one of his employees or associates paid the victim in cash, hundreds of dollars. He knew they were underage. He had a New York-based employee to communicate with victims via phone to arrange for them to come, again, establishing the nexus to New York so we can charge him here. The reason they wanted to charge him here is because he had an immunity deal in Florida, which means that you couldn't go after him in Florida. Now, frankly, they could have gone after him for stuff that happened after 2007 in Florida, but they wanted to catch him here for stuff he did between 2002 and 2005. Additionally, and to further facilitate his ability to abuse minor girls, he asked and enticed certain of his victims to recruit more girls to perform massages. And when a victim recruited another girl, they got paid. Certain recruiters brought in dozens of additional minor girls. He encouraged them to recruit additional girls. And every time people are paid hundreds of dollars. Let's talk about his Palm Beach residence. And in addition to what's happening in New York, this sicko is a monster in Palm Beach. Frequently traveled from New York to Palm Beach by private jet, before which an employer associate would ensure that minor victims were available for encounters upon his arrival in Florida. Also, so trying to establish that this is why he should be responsible. He should be liable for stuff he does in Florida, because he was preparing for it while still here in New York. In the Palm Beach residence, Epstein, the sick, disgusting monster, engaged in similar course of abusive conduct, and describing that same sickness, and etc. What we're seeing here as we're looking through this, they're talking about phone calls he placed to minor victims in Florida from New York. Moreover, as New York to ensure a steady stream of minor victims, he asked, are you seeing anything from Bucket B here? Are we seeing anything here from Bucket B? No, there's nothing. There's nothing. From and around at least 2002 up into including around 2005, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, and others, known and unknown, willfully and knowingly did combine, conspire, confederate, and agree together with each other to commit an offense and overt acts. Here were the following overt acts to get us to conspiracy. The defendant enticed and recruited multiple minor victims, including minor victims herein as minor victim 1, minor victim 2, minor victim 3, to engage in sex acts with that sick, disgusting monster. In around 2002, minor victim 1 was recruited to engage in acts with this sick, insecure loser Epstein, was repeatedly sexually abused by that freaking monster. And in around 2004, employee 1 located in the Southern District of New York placed a telephone call to minor victim 1 in order to schedule an appointment for minor victim 1 to engage in more acts with this freaking jackass. In around 2004, minor victim 2 was recruited to engage in acts with Epstein. And in around 2005, employee 2 located in the Southern District of New York and on behalf of Epstein placed a telephone call to minor victim 2 in order to schedule an appointment for minor victim 2. And then in 2005, you have minor victim 3. But again, all these people are dealing with this and are sexually abused by sick, disgusting, awful, evil Epstein, specifically him. No other people are. Did you see mention of so let's get to trafficking. Let's see. Is there anything on trafficking here? Trafficking sounds like right zone. All right. Maybe we got something from. Let's see what we got on trafficking. From around at least 2002 up and including 2005, Jeffrey Epstein willfully and knowingly and affecting interstate and foreign commerce to recruit, entice, harbor, transport, provide, obtain by any means a person knowing that the person had not attained the age of 18. He recruited, enticed, and harbored and transported them. Nothing about other parties, though. All about his own sick depravity. I'll tell you right now, these transcripts are useless. You're not going to have anything there. The transcripts of the evidence are all going to be supporting this. Everything here is bucket A. We're going to go through this stuff, and we're going to be told, oh, Epstein's going to be like, you saw Trump. What did he say here? The scam perpetrated by the Democrats should end right now. Nothing's going to. This is not going to help in the slightest. Nothing in the slightest. Because when you're trying to get a guilty verdict from a grand jury, you're trying to provide evidence that's supporting your indictment charges. There's nothing there related to third parties. Nothing at all from bucket B. Since there's nothing in bucket B, whatever you're going to see in those transcripts is not going to be related to bucket B. This is all part of the Comey nonsense. This is all the same part of the Comey nonsense where she was like, I don't want any jury to ever hear about bucket list B. I don't want anyone to know about this. And it's not just her working individually, but all of the deep state saying, we don't want anyone to know anything about Prince Andrew. We don't want anyone to know about any other third parties, any third party acrobat files. And no, we're not even going to bring it up in the indictment here. This is what you call a sanitized indictment. That's what this is. This is sanitized. It's sanitized so that the only thing that a jury will ever be focusing on is exclusively bucket A, personal gratification of Epstein, nothing to do with bucket B. Nothing at all. I mean, we know he was providing it to Prince Andrew. Why wouldn't you try getting him on trafficking to Prince Andrew? We even saw pictures of, him peeking out the door in New York. Come on. Even if it's not a whole big ring. This is what the point I want to make. You want to know this is how you know that there's a deep state cover up. And I've really been bandying this about a lot in my mind. I've been bandying this about because some people have been throwing out this notion. Listen, MAGA, let me have a heart-to-heart with you. This is what I've been hearing from people because I've been talking to a lot of different people about this. I've been trying to say, hey, look, MAGA, just stop and think for a moment. Maybe this was all a built up lie. Maybe all the stuff about Bucket B, all the third party honeypot intelligence agencies, maybe that's all a big fat stinking lie. It's red meat for you to think that there's this big evil octopus called the deep state, which is controlling things. This is what I've been told. So you all bought into this narrative, and Trump certainly helped sell this narrative, and other MAGA influencers sold this narrative that there's this whole big conspiracy thing going on there where they're abusing minors and the state departments are behind it. They're the Mossad, MI6, FBI, CIA, FSB, Russia. That someone or a group of them are all behind this whole thing, and that Epstein is the focal point here for how they're going to try and extract information from various politicians or other influential figures. You all bought it, and you bought it for so long that now you're positive it's true. But think about what evidence you have that such a thing was happening rather than just simply the personal gratification of Epstein. Maybe that's all it was. That's what I've been hearing a lot of. And it follows up with, think it through. Where did you hear that any of these girls were trafficked to third parties? Where did you hear it? Okay. Virginia Giuffre. She claims it. There've been talk of parties, implying multiple men, not women. Although I guess in theory, a party could be Epstein and a whole bunch of girls, to be fair. If you start with Virginia Giuffre, some of her credibility has to at least be taken down somewhat of a notch, because she made claims about Alan Dershowitz that at one point or another, she made those claims over and over again. He sues her and then she retracts it. Now, some might say, well, she only retracted it because he was suing her and she couldn't afford to defend it. So that's why she retracted it and made that public statement. And they still think that they don't trust her retraction. They trust her initial statement. And if that's your position, I can understand that. I personally disagree with it, but I can understand that. I get it. That's not a crazy position to take. At the very least, you have to admit that this at least throws a chink in the armor of her credibility. And at least makes you have to be like, okay, I'm not sure I can trust her completely. And who else do we have here that's actually been saying this? And when I hear this, there's one or two other girls who talk about men that they were solicited to. We don't really get much in the way of names of people who were, that's why we keep asking for the list. We're like, who's on the list? Who's on the list? Can you think of anyone that is on the list? We definitely see flights that he seems to be taking Bill Clinton to Thailand. So certainly you would think Bill Clinton is on that list. Not that I can understand how influential Bill Clinton is. I mean, I guess he's influential in the Democratic Party, but this would have been in the 2000s after his presidency has expired, right? So the same way I guess Barack Obama could be influential today. So in the early aughts, I could see Bill Clinton being influential. And I don't know that Bill Clinton did anything illegal. Everyone has seen the picture of him on a bed wearing, topless in a towel with some young girl laying on the bed there next to him. So there's him. There's a picture of Virginia Giuffre with Prince Andrew. There's a lot of smoke. But there's not really a smoking gun. There's not a smoking gun. And maybe, just maybe, we've all been lied to for years by people who wanted to prop themselves up and make themselves seem more important by basically saying, you see, we kept telling you about the deep state. Don't forget about what happened with Epstein, and that was all just a hoax that we all fell sucker to. Even Trump today is calling it a hoax. The reason that I say that doesn't make any sense to me, the reason I struggle with that, there's a few reasons. Why don't we have, if you wanted to get Jeffrey Epstein and you're really doing this in good faith, well, then tell me this. Why is it that there's, why is there nothing here about him forcing girls out onto Jeffrey Epstein? Onto Prince Andrew? Why is there nothing about Prince Andrew? You're charging him. And I'm sorry, I will always believe that Prince Andrew availed himself of this service, that sick, disgusting monster. Two sick, disgusting monsters. Why would you not do it? Why wouldn't he be in here? Why wouldn't there be reference to trafficking out to other third parties? Even if it's not a whole big operation. Maybe he doesn't have a whole big operation going on. Maybe there aren't dozens of clients that he had on the quote-unquote Epstein list. But it's not an official list. It's not like there's a list of the as anywhere. Like, here's people who are showing up this weekend. That doesn't seem likely. But that he would have people he invited over who now all of a sudden create a list of people he could be blackmailing. Why would you not put it in here? We know of at least one here in New York. And the fact that it's left out makes me feel as if this is sanitized. And I have to ask, why would it be sanitized? Why would you sanitize it? You want to get convictions. And this is only furthering the claim. Now, you might want to say, maybe she sanitized it because she didn't want to create an international incident with Prince Andrew. I mean, come on. Come on. This is children here. You're worried about an international incident with Prince Andrew? Okay, that's deep state. That's already deep state right there. So there's that. There's that. That just tells me, yeah, I can't really buy that. I struggle to accept this because it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense at all. And then we have this here.
Is it your sense there's anything the president can do now to get his supporters to move off of the Epstein issue? Should he? Where do you land on this?
You know, again, this is a distraction. This is a distraction. We have major issues right here with things we're voting on today in the Congress. Again, in terms of the rescission that the president and the Senate have sent back over us to cut all of these resources out of helping poor people throughout the world, to be America play its leadership role in soft power to keep us safe and to keep us healthy, so that we viruses know no boundary.
Soft.
And instead, we're talking about him, about this thing, and it is.
You have an opportunity here to bash the hell out of Trump over this Epstein thing. That's where she's at. She could be destroying him on this. Yeah, where's the list? Where's the list? When do they not do that? When do they walk past a gift-wrapped opportunity to destroy the hell out of Trump, that his own base is attacking him? You can be like, yeah, why would he not be doing it? It's very suspicious. But she's not doing that. She's walking right past
Own
it.
basis has its own views of what the president should do. I'll leave it up to them to talk it out. But
This woman, who's having her best hair day of 2025, because 2025 has not been kind to her hair, who is a snake. There's between takes here, I am convinced that she's got like a cage of rats that she swallows, and you can see it going down her throat with a big gulp. This snake here has taken every single opportunity to try and undercut, undermine, bash, destroy Trump's legacy, his policies, his agenda, and basically make his life hell. And here we have a situation that is gift wrapped. They don't care about truth. The last thing this snake has ever cared about is truth. It's always been about political spin. The entire Democratic National Party is about spin. And here you don't have to spin. You just have to just regurgitate what MAGA's saying. And she's like, no, we're not going to bash him on here.
Again, whether it's Jeffrey Epstein or Alcatraz, it's all off the subject of what they're doing with this budget that is harmful to the kitchen table, meeting the kitchen table needs of the American people.
I want to make sure I understand what you mean when you say distraction. Do you think that Pam Bondi going to Alcatraz is meant potentially as a distraction from Epstein, which has not gone over well at all?
Now, this blonde woman hasn't gotten the memo, obviously, because she's like, I can't believe that I just like threw up a softball for you to just crush out of the park, and you're sitting here walking past it. Maybe you didn't understand what I was saying. You're an old snake, you know. And maybe you just missed what I was saying here. Let me just throw you that softball one more time so we can be on the same page here, because you have every opportunity here to tell the entire world just how terrible Trump is, and you're sitting here talking. It didn't sound like you were bashing him the way I expected. Like maybe is my earpiece working right? I don't know what's happening here. Like what? How are you not? Because she's not part. She hasn't gotten the deep state memo. Maybe she's not part of it. She's just, some newbie.
Going to Alcatraz is meant potentially as a distraction from Epstein, which has not gone over well at all.
It's not going over well. Here you go. Go get him.
With the president's base.
No, I think they're both distractions. I don't think she's going to Alcatraz. I think she's planned to do that. But I think that they're both off the subject of what is happening, changing the character and the culture of America.
Stop talking about Epstein. That's what Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump are on the same page. Stop talking about Epstein. I see this and I say, I'm sorry. This is totally the most significant. This tells me it's like the biggest story ever. Anyway. And before we move on, we should talk about the Wall Street Journal thing, but let me get to some chats first. Don't foul, super chat, yellow number 6. Don't foul up, Joe. We're all counting on you. You did well. You did well. I picture a good and lady Lawgic drinking wine, enjoying the day. Joe says, I got to go take care of the kids. He jumps on stream. Good. Pretty much is how it goes. That's pretty much our day. Master troll gonna master troll. This is true. This is true. Watch Mike Benz on Viva today. More the financial money laundering angle. Soft power, not so much intel, though he was useful to them. DOJ needs to focus. Okay. I have to check that out because I didn't know what Mike said on there. One of us. Blasterbot gifting 20. 20 good Lawgic memberships. My God, 20 new members of the following. 20 more people who have to express their gratitude to Blasterbot for a very generous gift to pretty much probably arguably the most significant gathering of individuals on the planet who are all obviously interested in greater personal growth, because it's not at all a cult type of cult. Following 20 people should express their gratitude to Blasterbot. That would include J.R. Williams, Tom Forsyth, Don Boo, the Orc King, Jaina Bell, Noob Dad 53, Doug, Steve C, Tater Salad, Tauger. I never know how to say this. T-O-U-G, because it's like tougher, but no H. Tauger, I guess. Spud11, Ray K, Dan A, Seagull Gunner, J.R. Williams, Daisy Atnip, Terry Irwin, Ghost of Freddie Mercury's immune system. Nice. Juju Queen, Dopamine Octopus, and Liberty Nevada 1864. All of them brought into the following courtesy of Blasterbot. God bless you, Blasterbot. And please bear in mind that while I'm sitting here on camera, people mistakenly think that I am the leader of the following. I am not the leader of the following. So Yeah, but thank you, blast about you're awesome. The government admitted trafficking in its court documents. Megyn Kelly read the transcript to Ben Shapiro. Did they? Did they? Did they then? Did they? I saw a clip of her talking about that. I didn't hear trafficking in the way we're talking about third-party trafficking, more like trafficking in the way of interstate, that he brought a girl from this state to that state for his own personal benefit. So that also, they use the word trafficking there, but that's not the bucket B stuff. That's he's not just taking locals, but he's importing from across state lines, trafficking them across state lines for his own personal gratification. Again, that's still bucket A. That's what I remember seeing. But if there are court documents that indeed show trafficking interstate, I'd love to see it. And then I guess we might be able to hear evidence related to that involving third parties in taking advantage of these girls at Epstein's direction. I'm skeptical we're going to see anything of the kind. I'm skeptical of it. Very, very skeptical. All right. Let's see what else. The diggers have put together for us. Oh yes, the Wall Street Journal thing. Before I can't get out of here yet. Let me peek in on the diggers and make sure I didn't miss anything over there. Make sure I didn't miss anything with my diggers. Hey, Viola. Viola's came in there to visit. Do. The Wall Street Journal. That's where I was going next. Okay. So here we go. Let's go to the Wall Street Journal. They want me to talk about the Wall Street Journal. We're talking about the Wall Street Journal. Do it this way. Jeffrey Epstein's friends sent him bawdy letters for a 50th birthday album. One was from Donald Trump. The leather-bound book was compiled by Ghislaine Maxwell. The president says the letter is a fake thing. It was Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday, and Ghislaine Maxwell was preparing a special gift to mark the occasion. She turned to Epstein's family and friends. One of them was Donald Trump. She collected letters from Trump and dozens of Epstein's other associates for a 2003 birthday album, according to documents reviewed by the Wall Street Journal. Pages from the leather-bound album, assembled before Epstein was first arrested in 2006, are among the documents examined by Justice Department officials who investigated Epstein and Maxwell years ago. According to people who have reviewed the pages, it's unclear if any of the pages are part of the Trump administration's recent review. President's past relationship with Epstein is at a sensitive moment. Justice Department's documents, the so-called Epstein files, and who or what is in them are at the center of a storm consuming the Trump administration. On Wednesday, after angry comments about how the files are a hoax created by Democrats, President Trump lashed out his own supporters for refusing to let the matter go. I'm not even going to read it to you because it made me so angry. The letter bearing Trump's name, which was reviewed by the Journal, is bawdy, like others in the album. It contains several lines of typewritten text framed by the outline of a naked woman, which appears to be hand-drawn with a heavy marker. So he hand-drew a naked woman. A pair of small arcs denotes the woman's breasts, and the future president's signature is a squiggly Donna below her waist, mimicking pubic hair. The letter concludes, "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." This is the key line that they're like very excited about, implying that the two of them are sharing secrets. In an interview with the Journal on Tuesday evening, Trump denied writing the letter or drawing the picture. Quote, "This is not me. This is a fake thing. It's a fake Wall Street Journal story," he said. "I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women," he said. "It's not my language. It's not my words." It doesn't sound like something he would say. May every day be another wonderful secret. It's like, yeah, I can't imagine him saying a wonderful secret. It's a wonderful secret. It's no. That sounds like that's Tim. Okay, I gotta put a poll up. The poll is this: do you think in his life, not just to Epstein, do you think in his life, has he ever used the phrase "another wonderful secret"? Has he ever used the phrase? Because I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Why can't I? Oh, I got a poll going. That's why. We'll start a new poll. Please make sure you like and subscribe while you're here. Start a poll. In his life, has Donald Trump ever used the term another wonderful? All right. In his life, has Donald Trump ever used the term another wonderful secret? Yes, definitely. Ha, 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 ha. They're so desperate. No. I doubt it, but possible or probably. So there you go. That's your poll. When you have time, Viva had Mike Benz on and asked all the right questions. I learned many new things, all laid out well. All right. I'll try to check it out. Thank you. Someone else mentioned that to me. He told the Journal he was preparing to file a lawsuit if it published an article. I'm going to sue the Wall Street Journal just like I sued everyone else. He said allegations that Epstein had been sexually abusing girls became public in Tuesday. We know this. Okay. Existence of the album contents, the birthday letters haven't previously been reported. The album had poems, photos, and greetings from business people, academics, Epstein's former girlfriends, and childhood pals, according to the documents reviewed by the Journal. Among those who submitted letters were billionaire Leslie Wexner and attorney Alan Dershowitz. The album also contained a letter from now deceased Harvard economist, one of Epstein's report cards from Mark Twain Junior High School in Brooklyn, and a note from a former assistant that included an acrostic with Epstein's name: Jeffrey, oh Jeffrey, everyone loves you. Fun in the sun. Fun just for fun. Remember, don't forget me soon. Epstein, you rock. You're the best. Okay. Epstein was Wexner's money manager. We know about this. Dershowitz's letter included a mock-up of a Vanity Unfair magazine cover with mock headlines such as, "Who was Jack the Ripper? Was it Jeffrey Epstein?" He joked that he had convinced the magazine to change the focus of an article from Epstein to Bill Clinton. Dershowitz, who represented Epstein after his first arrest, said, "It's been a long time and I don't recall the content of what I may have written." Okay. Book was put together by New York City bookbinder Herbert whites, according to people who are involved in the process. Whites died in 2020. Listed Epstein as a client on his website in 2003. Isn't clear how the letter with Trump's signature was prepared. Inside the outline of the naked woman was a typewritten note styled in an imaginary conversation between Trump and Epstein, written in the third person. Voiceover, there must be more to life than having everything, the note began. Donald, yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Jeffrey, nor will I, since I also know what it is. Donald, we have certain things in common, Jeffrey. I don't believe he ever called him Jeffrey. Yes, we do, come to think of it. Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? This is another thing. I'm sure he says this all the time. Enigmas never age. I don't even think he knows what enigmas mean. Well, maybe he does. I can't even. Can you imagine him saying this? Enigmas never age. No. No. This is so not him. As a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. A pal is a wonderful thing. A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday. May every day be another wonderful secret. No. Oh my God. I'm sorry. It does sound like a gay teen vampire novel. Yeah, there's no. I got bot rated. Is that a good thing? Does anyone want to be bot rated? Is that a positive? Should I be thankful for being bot rated? Praise. I don't even know what that means. I don't know what that means. That's a good point. Someone thinks he's clever. Yeah, let me see how the poll is doing here. All right, 2/3 of you think they're so desperate, no, and that's 65% of you. 23% say I doubt it. Under 15% of you believe this story. Trump has responded to this, saying the Wall Street Journal, Rupert Murdoch personally were warned directly by President Donald J. Trump. I love when he first was. It's Third Person Thursday. Third Person Thursday. Love it. They were warned directly. See, I appreciate that he respects Third Person Thursday. Personally were warned directly by President Donald J. Trump that the supposed letter they printed by President Trump to Epstein was a fake. And if they print it, they will be sued. Mr. Murdoch stated that he would take care of it, but obviously did not have the power to do so. The editor of the Wall Street Journal, Emma Tucker, was told directly by Caroline Leavitt and by President Trump that the letter was a fake, but Emma Tucker didn't want to hear that. Instead, they're going with a false, malicious, and defamatory story anyway. President Trump will be suing the Wall Street Journal, News Corp, and Mr. Murdoch shortly. The press has to learn to be truthful and not rely on sources that probably don't even exist. President Trump has already beaten George Stephanopoulos, ABC, 60 Minutes, CBS, and others, and looks forward to suing and holding accountable the once great Wall Street Journal. It has truly turned out to be a disgusting and filthy rag, and writing defamatory lies like this shows their desperation to remain relevant. If there any truth at all, the Epstein hoax as it pertains to President Trump, this information would have been revealed by Comey, Brennan, Crooked Hillary, and other radical left lunatics years ago. It certainly would not have sat in a file waiting for Trump to have won 3 elections. This is yet another example of fake news. See, this is what he writes. This is what he writes in True Social. But in birthday cards, supposedly, yeah, he writes poetry. Seriously. Seriously. Does anyone think how anyone could really believe this in good conscience? Seriously. Will he win a lawsuit? I think you put this. next to this. It's a hoax. You're fake, Wall Street. You're talking about Donald Trump Jr. You're talking about his name Jr. You're talking about President Donald Trump. You're all fake hoax. Yeah. This is not, these two things are not written by the same person. Sorry. I don't buy it. Nope. Cannot be. It doesn't make any sense. If it's all bogus, then why did the late Queen strip her son of his military service and honors? Charles hasn't restored his status either. Yeah. Well, why was Prince Andrew? Why? They know. The government admitted trafficking in court documents. Megan Kelly read the transcripts by Ben Shapiro. I think I read this up earlier, but I had missed the one above from Eclectic. When you have time, I got this one also. Enigma, never. Thank you for your attention to this matter. You're welcome. You're very welcome. Enigma is never age like black don't crack. Bahaha. I mean, Enigma. Can you imagine him saying that? Enigma is never age? He'd be like, I don't even know what that means. What does that mean? It's an enigma. How can it age? What is that? And then I said to him, enigmas never age. Sounds like black don't crack. Leader. Instead of his sign Donald, not Trump, not Donald Trump, just Donald. I call BS. So sometimes he's writing enigmas never age. Have you ever noticed that? And may every day be another wonderful secret. And sometimes he's like, sometimes he writes, and Rosie's a fat loser. And besides, no one ever liked her anyway. Because which all her movies were a complete and total bust because she sucks and she has no talent and she's a big loser. Period. He writes run-on sentences that go for days and days. You think that he puts something where he actually puts the comma before the word Jeffrey here, which is correct pronunciation, correct punctuation. It's oh my God. Have you read anything this guy's ever written? Who did this? Who came up with this? They're so bad because this is a classic. This is like, it's the same mistake they make when they're trying to assess, the mindset of like a fundamentalist Muslim. It's like you have to be able to have an ability to put yourself in the shoes of the person and then talk like that person. Think like that person. There's no way Donald Trump ever wrote, we have certain things in common, comma, Jeffrey. No, that's not something he would ever write. This is a guy who has 3 dots. This is something that if he wrote this on an exam, a teacher would be like, you used AI, Don. You used AI. That's not you. Oh my God. This is bad AI. This is bad AI. This is so bad. This is so stupid. You have to be so stupid to think this is true. This is the sort of thing he writes. This scam perpetrated by Democrats should end right now. Enigmas are like a wonderful dream that never end. Oh my God. Sometimes he writes things like the Wall Street Journal printed a fake letter, supposedly to Epstein. These are not my words, not the way I talk. Hey, there you go, guys. Also, I don't draw pictures. I told Ruben Murdoch it was a scam, that he shouldn't print this fake story, but he did. And now I'm going to sue his ass off. Sometimes he writes, I'm going to sue his ass off. Sometimes he writes, enigmas never end. Secrets, or it's another wonderful secret. That is third-rate newspaper. Thank you for your attention to this matter, DJT. It really depends on his mood. It depends on his mood. So bad. Hey, Joe, I found you when you had on Scott Horton. I did? I don't remember ever having Scott Horton on. I had Scott Horton on? Glad I did. I really like your style and views on legal issues. Thank you, Warcast. I appreciate that. Welcome. Welcome to the following. And I'm really glad you found me, too. It's strange that Murdoch was reported to be in the box stands with POTUS a few days ago for the FIFA World Cup. That's probably why he figured he would do what he wanted. I was inspired. I was inspired. Give me a moment. One of you inspired me. You'll see who in a moment. Don't worry. I'm good to go now, I think. I think I'm good to go now. If the list only came from MSM, I would believe it was a hoax. However, I find Dershowitz to be a straight shooter. He put his hand up before God. Yep. Although he said he doesn't know who's on. He said he knows what he saw the indictment in 2007. I don't think we've ever seen that indictment. I want to ask Rock that question. Was the indictment, the 2007 indictment, ever made public? That's a good question. That's the one I want to know about. That's the indictment I want to know about. I'll pull that up in a moment. This is the one that inspired me. He was very poetic when he described how General Soleimani died like a dog.
And are uninjured. The only ones remaining were Baghdadi in the tunnel, and he had dragged 3 of his young children with him. They were led to certain death. He reached the end of the tunnel as our dogs chased him down.
Enigmas
He ignited
are
his
like
vest,
life.
killing himself and the 3 children. His body was mutilated by the blast. The tunnel had caved in on it in addition. But test results gave certain immediate and totally positive identification. It was him. The thug who tried so hard to...
It was him. Let's see.
He died like a dog. He died like a coward. He was whimpering, screaming, and crying. And he died.
This was the
The United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden.
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead.
The United States launched.
We're supposed to believe that he wrote another wonderful mystery. Oh my God.
The United States has conducted an operation.
Al-Baghdadi is dead.
The United States launched a targeted operation against that compound.
They did a lot of shooting and they did a lot of blasting, even not going through the front door. You know, you think you go through the door. If you're a normal person, you say, knock, knock, may I come in?
After a firefight, they killed Osama bin Laden and took custody of his body.
He died like a dog.
But his death does not mark the end of our effort.
A beautiful dog. A talented dog.
They're supposed to believe that this guy says, enigmas never age. That's another thing he says. He died like a dog and enigmas never age. Oh my God. Wall Street Journal. So sad. So sad. Trump has ordered Biden to release the grand jury files. He's pissed. I actually went through the grand jury indictments to point out that there's not going to be anything in that file. There's not going to be anything there because it's all about, the indictment is all about his personal use of these and his personal abuse of these girls rather than the abuse that he fostered by giving them to other guys. So it's not going to make us feel satiated. I saw that he said that. And that way he could say, oh, I released everything. It's not helping, though. I'm going to ask Grok. I'm going to ask Grok. Let's ask Grok whether or not this 2007 indictment, because that might be better. That might be better. What was the 2007 Epstein indictment? Unsealed. Oh, okay. Florida judge released grand jury records showing 2006, which include details overlapping with the two, such as testimony evidence. In January 2024, thousands of pages of documents from related defamation lawsuit, Jeffrey versus Maxwell, were unsealed, shedding light on Epstein's network and the scope of his crimes, effectively making much of the information from the 2007 investigation public, even if the indictment itself wasn't formally unsealed as a single document. Its contents related materials have been progressively revealed through lawsuits. So I'm going to have to look through Jeffrey versus Maxwell. I want to find anything. Because Jeffrey is the one who claimed. Let's see what this Wikipedia link gives me. Epstein allegedly linked girls to powerful people to ingratiate himself with them and also gained blackmail information. All right. I long for the day I can stop talking about Jeffrey Epstein. This is going all the way back to when? January 3rd, 2015. Talking about Dershowitz. Document also lists, see, she says in Maxwell's London apartment, Epstein's private Caribbean, and an undisclosed location in New York. That's why I said he should have been brought up in the New York thing. He definitely should have come up in the New York thing. But that's not really telling me about whether the 2007 indictment. I need to find that indictment. All right. I'm gonna do that research in my own time. I'll do that research in my own time. Let's get back to where we're at here. So we're getting a little bogged down. I'm feeling bogged down here. I really want to get to Maureen Comey. So yesterday, Maureen Comey was fired. It's true. She was. Maureen Comey, in case you're unaware, she was a lead prosecutor from the Southern District of New York in both the Ghislaine Maxwell trial as well as the P. Diddy trial. I said, I don't know if I said it here or if I said it on an X space. I vaguely recall saying it on an X space. So I think I was within the past couple of weeks when people were asking about the P. Diddy thing. And folks were speculating whether or not she threw the case on purpose. She gave it the old college try while intentionally trying to lose. To basically make the Diddy scandal go away in order to help protect the deep state. So I said, okay, I doubt it. I doubt it because attorneys don't like to lose. So it's hard for me to understand why she would do that. And they said, well, maybe they told her to take one for the team. Maybe the deep state told her that. And she's like, okay, take one for the team. And what I said was, I guess that's possible. Like maybe she had more evidence that she didn't use. Maybe throw up a witness there who looks kind of weak intentionally to try and give the jury reasonable doubt. That's possible. There were certain witnesses there who were excruciatingly bad for the state. So if you tell me that that's what it is, then you would think that she would likely, you would see in the next year or two, that despite this humiliating loss, that she'd get a promotion. It's like, take this one on the chin and we'll give you a promotion. But yesterday she got fired. Now, is it possible that the promotion is a payoff from some big firm? Yeah, that's definitely possible, but it seems less likely. It's less power-centric. She's less useful to the deep state if she's a private attorney now. And she will be paid handsomely. She'll be making much more money now that she's leaving the DOJ. But much less money, you would think, than if she hadn't just sustained this humiliating loss. If she had that feather in her cap, she's that much more marketable. So, for all intents and purposes, it seems as if she did not throw that case. She just screwed it up. And she did screw it up in putting some witnesses up there and also making it take longer than it should have. also making it take longer than it should have. So I'm going to read, but today she responded back. She fired back to her firing, and we don't know why. And I'm going to speculate why she is. But first, let me get to the whole thing here. Let me get to some of the chats, and then I'll cover that real quick. A fat, rich, leftist, white 40s female wrote that. Yes. Enigma, please. My cat probably has better grammar from listening to me write. President Trump does not understand grammar. Someone else wrote that card. Yep. My bad. It was Robert Barnes. Viva is cool too. This is true. Oh yeah, Robert Barnes I had on here. Oh, you're saying that you that was when I had him on here. You found me when I had him on. Yeah. I did have Robert Barnes here recently. I'm glad you found me through him. All right, so I consider him a friend, as do and Viva as well. And it's my good fortune to have friends who have followers. So there you go. Let's get to Maureen Comey. Let's talk about that real quick. Breck Nichols says Trump would never say enigma. He hates the N-word. Nice, Breck. Well played. Okay. Maureen Comey firing back today. I haven't read this yet. This is brought to me by my diggers. How you doing, diggers? This is part of what they gave me. Maureen Comey issues fiery memo after ouster from U.S. Attorney's Office. Excuse me. Maureen Comey, the daughter of former FBI Director James Comey and a career federal prosecutor, issued a fiery memo a day after being ousted from her job at the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, telling colleagues that, quote, fear is the tool of a tyrant wielded to suppress independent thought. See, I think she wrote that birthday card. She might have written that birthday card. She might have written that birthday card. Quote, do the right thing the right way for the right reasons without fear of retribution, without favor to the powerful, Maureen Comey said in a Thursday message, which was obtained by multiple outlets. Oh, we're not going to get, I think you're going to give me original source here. For the quote, for the majority of my nearly 10 years in Southern District of New York, fear was never really conceivable. We don't fear bad press. We have the luxury of exceptional security keeping us physically safe. And so long as we did our work with integrity, we would get to keep serving the public in this office, she wrote. Comey was fired Wednesday from her post at the U.S. Attorney's Office, where she worked for nearly a decade. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters at a briefing Thursday the decision came from the Justice Department. Comey's father, James Comey, has had a contentious relationship with President Trump. He was fired during Trump's first White House term. James Comey, a Trump critic, helped kickstart the investigation into alleged ties between Trump's 2016 campaign and Russia. Maureen Comey's firing was largely seen as connected to her father. Maureen Comey worked on criminal cases against Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. She was part of a team that brought sex trafficking charges against Epstein, the disgraced financier, blah, blah, blah. Comey also was on the team that handled prosecution of Sean Combs. Quote, our focus was really on acting without favor. That is, making sure people with access, money, and power were not treated differently than anyone else. Yeah. No, that was the problem. You see, Maureen, that's the problem. Is that you specifically protected the powerful, making sure these officers remain separate from politics and focused only on the facts and law. That's not what Judge Allison Nathan said about you when she was upset with you blocking out names, redacting names during the Maxwell case. Comey said in a memo adding, but we have entered a new phase where without fear may be the challenge. If a career prosecutor can be fired without reason, and we'll talk about the reasons in a moment, fear may seep into the decisions of those who remain. Do not let that happen. Fear is the tool of the tyrant wielded to suppress independent thought. Instead of fear, let this moment fuel the fire that already burns at the heart of this place, a fire of righteous indignation, of abuses of power, of commitment to seek justice for victims, of dedication to truth above all else. James Comey apparently didn't have any fear when he wrote 8647, when he posted 8647. So, yeah. Okay, so I just want to give you my thoughts on why she was fired. I think she was fired for a few reasons. He's ever since the Supreme Court decision that came out this past week, they're a lot freer to fire people. That's number one. Number two is she lost on Diddy and was humiliated, and that was really, really bad. That was a very, very bad job. You can't, and frankly, if she didn't bring in Jane as a claimant, I think she wins. I think she gets RICO. I think she gets trafficking of Cassie Ventura. That was a bad mistake. It was, and if she basically had ended the trial 3 weeks in, she would have had those two convictions, and he'd be facing potential life in prison. Now, it's Monday morning quarterback to say, I'm not going to tell you that I told her, I told you so, because at the time I was like, this case is getting longer and longer, and you only notice it once it starts to happen. At that point, they sort of were stuck to put on the case that they had. So I can understand where they're coming from. I understand where they're coming from. But I don't think that this is, I think I had the wrong thing up there. We do need more yardstick. We need a couple more yards. New York City about to get another statue for Maureen Comey. Possibly. I think that she was, I think that here's the reason we might be encouraged. Here's the reason to potentially be encouraged. It's possible that she was fired because she is the one who oversaw Epstein. And we have seen friction between Pam Bondi and the Southern District of New York. You may recall that we saw with respect to Eric Adams, that when they wanted them to cut the deal with Eric Adams, Southern District of New York said, no, I quit. And then another, no, I quit. No, I quit. I think 3 people quit over that. I would not be remotely surprised if the file, which has, gone missing, understand this, there's a ton of evidence that got lost from the raid of Epstein's house on East 71st Street. Okay? His house was raided. A ton of evidence was lost. That is the primary blame for that falls on Maureen Comey. And it's very hard. It's not easy to lose evidence. It practically has to be done. It's almost difficult to believe that it's not done willfully. This is not like, oh, whoops. Like, you have to work hard to lose evidence because there's so many double tracking, triple tracking. This person has to sign off on it, and then they enter into this log, and then it gets entered that log, and then it gets secured. The things, and then to access it, only certain people are able to access it. It's very hard to lose evidence. You need to work hard to lose evidence. And there was tons. They say like thousands of hours of videos lost. So there was just a lot of evidence that went missing, and that's likely on her and likely with her knowledge. I speculate, this is purely opinion based on how difficult it is to lose evidence, that I think she got rid of it. Either that or she should have been firing someone who worked underneath her who did it. But it's her case. So, yeah. I'm not saying this because she's James Comey's daughter. That just is like, whenever people bring up family relations and says, well, what do you expect? It's James Comey's daughter. I'm like, okay. To me, that's always icing. That's like, okay. I can understand how she got to get in this place. But I never want to look at the sins of the father being visited on the offspring. Because, I think that's, a lot of people are very different from their parents. Very, very different. But the way she handled that case was, I'm going to convict only on bucket A stuff. This is the Ghislaine Maxwell case. I'm only going to convict on bucket A stuff. She clearly had access to the raid from Epstein's house. She's the one overseeing the Epstein case in 2019. She's the one overseeing the Maxwell case in 2021. She's the one overseeing the Diddy case. When stuff goes missing, I say that has to be on the lead prosecutor, Maureen Comey. And we also know that they don't feel obligated to do whatever it is that DC wants them to do. So stuff with respect that could have been in her files, I wouldn't be surprised if she deleted files from the 2019 case that they had against Epstein, which may have included some of that bucket B stuff. If you join late, I referred to bucket A, there's two buckets of wrongs that Epstein is believed to have committed. It's been proven in court that he committed bucket A stuff. That's abusing minors for his own personal gratification and all the evidence of that. And there were hundreds of victims who he abused for his own personal gratification. Bucket B, in my labeling system here, is the minors who he abused in pursuit of trying to honeypot, to trap and ensnare third parties and catch them on tape engaging in various illegal encounters with minors. And I think that she probably has a ton of evidence for bucket B. None of it has ever been presented before any sort of New York grand jury. And I think that that's the stuff that everyone wants. That's the stuff that we all care about. That's the stuff that the deep state cares about. That's the stuff that the deep state would have been setting Epstein up to create, not so that he can have his own private pleasure island, but so that he could actually be in their service and helping them secure information that they couldn't otherwise get in the scummiest type of spy operation imaginable. So that's the stuff that we want to know about. Also, to the extent the FBI was directly involved in perhaps setting him up, that would all have been under Merrick Garland or Chris Wray being aware of that. You can dig up your FBI files. He had a handler. And whoever else was in charge of the FBI over the last 12 years before that, since 2000, frankly. Someone here, it's impossible to believe the FBI wasn't watching him going all the way back to 2000. So they should be having this big, thick stuff that's telling us what the hell is going on here. And especially if he's being, if he's an agent or some sort of asset to the FBI, they would know about that. There would be tons of files. And she would have complete access, you would think, to turn all that over. And perhaps she was resistant to it. So if you want to be hopeful, you can conclude that perhaps her firing is tied into that Pam Bondi wants to replace her with someone who will actually give whatever files are still there. Now, she likely deleted most of it, to be frank with you. But who knows? Who knows? Nobody knows for sure. And with that, in just a mere hour and 43 minutes, we're all done talking about Epstein already. Already. Done with Epstein already. Blastabout says, clearly losing the evidence is what they call in the biz a whoopsie doodle. Let's see if she's on the New York Times bestseller list in a year. I wouldn't be surprised. Maureen Comey believes she's an enigma. I'm telling you, she wrote that. She totally wrote that to Epstein. She totally wrote that. All right. What else we got? All right. More stories from the diggers. Here we go. South Los Angeles. More stories. That's not what I wanted to click. Oh, I didn't see that story. We'll see if I can pull that up. If we have time, I'm going to throw this onto the list. Things to throw in here. Is this? Pam Bondi sent out a tweet, President Trump, we're ready to move forward to the court tomorrow to unseal the grand jury transcripts. I want the 2007 grand jury transcripts. That's what I want. Not the 2019 crap. Not the New York one, the Florida one. That's what I want. But, okay, so let me get this. All right. South Los Angeles mother accused of faking immigration kidnapping. No thanks. What? South Los Angeles mother accused of faking immigration kidnapping. The U.S. Department. Oh, let me share this over with you guys also. Do this here. The U.S. Department of Justice on Thursday announced charges against a 41-year-old undocumented mother from South Los Angeles, accusing her of orchestrating a fake kidnapping by federal immigration agents to generate sympathy and solicit donations. Uriana Julia Yuli Pelez Calderon is charged with conspiracy making false statements to federal officers. On June 30th, Calderon's family and attorney held a news conference claiming she had been taken from a fast food restaurant parking lot in downtown LA. Oh, we gotta see this conference. Can we see this conference? Oh, we definitely have to see this conference. We got to see this. All right. We're done with your advertisement. To your advertisement. Oh, gosh. Time is money. Time is money. 3, 2, 1, 0.
South Los Angeles, after a mother of 3 is taken at gunpoint by 2 men in unmarked cars.
Family members and some people in the community are demanding answers. Uriana Calderon has lived in LA for 20 years. They want to know where she's being held now and who is holding her. Carlos Salcedo live in the KTLA News Center with more on what we know about the case tonight. Carlos?
Good evening.
Wow.
Imagine being taken by masked men appearing as federal officers. Then you're transported to the border, pressured to sign self-deportation paperwork. Well, that's what happened to a South LA mom last week. She refused to sign, and tonight family members say they don't know where she's being held.
Free Julie now! Immigration rights activists and family of Julie Calderon rallied in South LA Monday after they say the mom of 3 was abducted by masked men in unmarked vehicles. Calderon told family members that she was going to her janitorial job last Wednesday night when she was followed by 2 vehicles along Alameda. Feeling unsafe, she pulled into this parking lot.
She stepped into the parking lot. Folks got off of those trucks, armed with masks, and they took her.
She was placed in custody for not being a U.S. citizen, but instead of taking her to a detention center in L.A., she was driven to San Isidro.
She was taken straight from here to the border and pressured to sign self-deportation paperwork.
And when she refused and asked to speak with a lawyer, Calderon was transported with others to a warehouse close to where she was initially taken from. She was allowed to make only 2 phone calls before going silent.
According to Julie, one of the bounty hunters allowed her access to a phone. We don't know if that was his personal phone. We don't know if that was a phone that belonged to the facility. It showed no caller ID.
Calderon has been in LA for more than 20 years, raised 3 children, 2 with special needs, while volunteering with immigrant rights groups. As of now, her whereabouts are unknown.
So what has happened is that we have a lot of people for whom we don't have a location. So everything about what's happening right now.
This is all a scam. It's all a scam. Oh, no.
Is absolutely different than what we've ever experienced in the past. Is she in ICE custody? Is she in CBP custody? Or is she being held somewhere else?
Now, Calderon has several underlying health issues and needs her medication. So her family, of course, is desperate to find her. We reached out to the Department of Homeland Security regarding this case, but have not heard back. Reporting live in the KTLA News Center, Carlos Salcedo, KTLA 5 News.
Oh, what a terrible situation. Oh, they're desperate. if you were a digger and you were over there, I see that they hit the 3-hour mark and it dies at 3 hours. Now, I'm not able to stream to diggers for more than 3 hours at a time. Whoa. Sorry about that. Now let's stream to them for more than 3 hours at a time. So that your time is there. I'm not going to close it down in case you have links you want to share, but you're not going to be able to see me other than watch me with everyone else. So that wasn't me. That's just a 3-hour mark thing that they have there. So I'm going to stop and try. If I end that stream, will it keep going? I think it's going to die. I'm not sure if it's going to die on its own. It may die a natural death because it's no longer streaming there. Not sure. I think it should stay open if I leave it running. So I'll leave it running, even though it's not going there. All right. So, yes. So that's the first part of this story. Then we have the next part of this story. South Los Angeles mother accused of faking immigration kidnapping. The U.S. Department of Justice on Thursday announced charges against a 41-year-old undocumented mother from South Los Angeles accused of orchestrating a fake kidnapping by federal immigration agents to generate sympathy and solicit donations. Julia Palaez Calderon is charged with conspiracy and making false statements to federal officers. On June 30th, Calderon's family and attorney held a news conference claiming she had been taken from a fast food restaurant parking lot in downtown LA, driven to the U.S.-Mexico border, and told to self-deport. That's not the way they do it. They don't tell you to self-deport. At the same time, her daughter launched a GoFundMe campaign, and federal agents began searching for Calderon since she was not in their records as being in immigration custody, according to DOJ. Authorities later found Calderon at a shopping plaza in Bakersfield. Quote, dangerous rhetoric that ICE agents are kidnapping illegal immigrants is being recklessly peddled by politicians and echoed in the media to inflame the public and discredit our courageous federal agents, U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley said in a statement. He's a U.S. Attorney in California. Quote, the conduct alleged in today's complaint shows this hoax kidnapping was well-orchestrated conspiracy. The June 30th news conference drew significant media attention as a family attorney alleged Calderon was taken by bounty hunters working for the government. They claimed the mother of 3 and local community activists was driven to San Easy, I'm not going to get that, presented with self-deportation paperwork, and after refusing to sign, was moved to a warehouse in an undisclosed location where she was denied food. Oh my God. They even put a picture. I'm being held hostage here. In a post on X, the DHS immediately called the case a hoax. This woman was never arrested or kidnapped by ICE. Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin told KTLA without providing further details at the time. DOJ said surveillance footage shows Calderon leaving a Jack-in-the-Box parking lot and getting into a sedan, and telephone records also indicate she fabricated the story. Calderon family knew that law enforcement was searching for her and feared for her safety, but Calderon family did not come forward, DOJ said. Instead, Calderon created what law enforcement believed to be fabricated photos of her rescue made to look as if she was abused while in ICE custody and planned to hold a press conference on July 6th to increase donations for GoFundMe. A spokesperson for GoFundMe released the following statement to KTLA. GoFundMe has zero tolerance for the misuse of our platform or any attempts to exploit the generosity of others and cooperates with law enforcement investigations of those accused of wrongdoing. This fundraiser was removed from the platform, and the $80 raised, they only got $80, they must have cut it down right away, was refunded. At no point did the organizer have access to any of the funds. The GoFundMe giving guarantee guarantees donors a full refund in rare case something isn't right. Wow. Wow. That's a great story. That's a great story. I want to put that away. Let's remember this one. I want to remember that one. I'm going to come back to that one. Great find there. One of my diggers did really well with that. I don't remember which year it was, but great job. That was a great story. All right. Moving along here. Deported? I barely knew her. I see what you did there. I see what you did there, Blasterbot. Ah, you know what he did there. Blasterbot throwing us past the threshold. Just in the nick of time. Just in the nick of time. 5 minutes left. Time me in here for another hour. Well done. Well done, Blasterbot. Tonight's show, the following hour, is sponsored by Blasterbot, who made sure that we got over the edge. Well done indeed, Blasterbot. So we are at we're coming up to the 2-hour mark. And I said that if we hit our goal tonight, which we sometimes hit, sometimes don't, that I was going to go for a third hour. So tonight's show is 3 hours long. So get cozy, because I got at least another hour and 5 minutes. Probably going to end up being longer, because just that's the way things go. All right. Don't worry. I have a lot of material I haven't even started to touch yet. God bless you guys. You guys, my audience is the best. You guys are amazing. Amazing. Let's move along. Judge lifts sweeping gag order in Idaho student murder case. Brian Koberger pleaded guilty earlier this month to the brutal stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students. An Idaho judge has lifted a sweeping gag order in Brian Koberger's quadruple murder case. This makes the folks who practice what I do very, very happy. Very, very happy. There's a lot of people who are going to be like all over these attorneys to get their perspective. Prosecutors get perspective of defense counsel, more likely. I expect that you're going to see a lot of my brethren in this sphere being all over this. Unlikely that I will, personally, but I do think that the lifting of this gag order means that you, who likely follow many people who do what I do, as you should, because many people in this sphere are very talented, are likely to be getting more information on this, as we're now able to hear from the attorneys. Koberger avoided a potential death sentence by pleading guilty. Prosecutors said he spent months carefully planning the attack, and that his studies as criminal justice graduate student at Washington State University helped him take steps to cover his tracks. Apparently not well enough. He admitted to breaking into a rental home through a sliding door and killing the 4 friends who had no connection with him. Judge in Moscow. I think they call it Moscow. I don't know. Or something. It's not pronounced Moscow. Moscow? I don't know. They don't call it Moscow. I know that. Issued a sweeping gag order early in the case, barring prosecutors, defense attorneys, and other officials from talking to reporters or others about anything not already included in public court documents. Coalition of news organizations, including the AP, asked him to lift the gag order, but he refused, saying additional publicity could harm Koberger's right to a fair trial. However, the gag order was lifted on Thursday, and the feeding frenzy from the news shall commence. Let the feeding frenzy commence. That's what's going to happen. That is going to happen. So you should expect to be getting a lot more of that. What else did you guys have for me? Carmelo Anthony. Now we're getting to just so you know, now we're getting into the racism section of the show. I actually said, oh, okay, this is a racism thing. This thing is a racism. We have like a bunch of racism related stories, short little blurbs, short little stuff for you guys. So first one up is this. Carmelo Anthony has retained another attorney in addition to Mike Howard. Now, Carmelo Anthony is the one accused of killing Metcalf. That was the stabbing in the tent. You may recall that he was an individual who went into the other team's tent and stabbed him. And he claims it was self-defense. So he's now retained another attorney in addition to Mike Howard, new attorney working with the DA in charge of the Metcalf case. According to a response to an open record request I sent to the Collin County District Clerk, Toby Shook, from the Shook and Gunter law firm, has been retained by the Anthony family. Hiring multiple attorneys will significantly increase legal costs. Well, I don't think it's worried about that because he's raised a ton of money in legal costs. Bill Werskey is the first chair of DA in the Metcalf case. In a rather strange twist of the story, Toby Shook and Bill Werskey worked together in the past when Werski was appointed as special prosecutor for the Kaufman, Texas prosecutor murders, which received national attention. So in other words, now you have defense counsel Toby Shook, who used to work with Bill Werski, being against Bill Werski in this case. Their prosecution resulted in conviction and sentencing of Eric Williams. Now they will be in opposition to each other for the Anthony case. And here's the notice. Please take notice the undecided attorney Toby Shook hereby enters an appearance as counsel for Carmelo Anthony. Above caption matter. Shook and Gunter. And I'll tell you right now, the reason that he was chosen is almost certainly because of the past relationship that he has with Bill Werski. It's almost certain that it's because of that, which is a smart move by the defendant. I don't have a problem with it. It's a smart move by the defendant. There's a bunch of reasons that you would do something like this, because you say, well, why? What's the advantage? Well, it's always helpful when you might be talking about pleading to have someone who has an established relationship with the prosecutor. So if your current counsel doesn't have that, and you can bring someone on who might be helping you with pleading, that might be helpful. Additionally, you would think Toby Shook, having worked hand in glove with Bill Werski, would have a lot more perspective about his particular litigation style and what strategies he's likely to employ here, which helps you better prepare your defense for what the state is likely to throw at you. So I have no problem. So I think it's a smart move. I think it was certainly intentional. I think that that's a big advantage that for someone, for any attorney who might have been seeking the opportunity to cash in on the massive influx of cash that Carmelo Anthony got because he's a victim. And I think that was a wise move. You have to tip your cap and say, that's a pretty good call. It's a good call. And it's legal. So if it's a good call and it's legal, smart move. It's a smart move. We might hate the reality that it's not always what you know, but who you know. But it is a reality. And you can't ignore what reality tells us. So since you can't ignore reality, you might as well try to use reality to the best of your advantage. And especially if you're facing a murder charge, you would pull out all the stops also. So I don't blame him for doing that. I think it was a wise move. And we'll see what happens with this case. We'll see how this unfolds as we move forward. All right. What do you have next? That was the first race-related thing, because that's a case which is all about races. And the next one was, this one is going to be a war. This is going to be a war. This is going to be a war. This is going to be rallies. This is going to be marches. This is going to be, oh my God. This is going to be like another Summer of Love type thing. I don't know what the heck is happening here. I don't know enough about this case, but most of you probably remember the Breonna Taylor story. Remember the Breonna Taylor raid, which ended up leading to her getting killed? I think that they were trying to get her boyfriend, and she ended up getting murdered by police. And what they say was an accident. You all remember that one, right? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Lynn. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. So, yeah. The Justice Department has asked, after they got a conviction, I guess, they got a conviction of this guy for killing Breonna Taylor in the raid. And now the administration is saying, the administration asked the judge in the case to sentence the former officer to essentially the brief time he had served when he was first charged and 3 years of supervised release. Oh my God, the marching in the streets that you're going to hear over this. The chief of the Justice Department Civil Rights Unit has asked the federal judge to sentence a Louisville police officer convicted in the 2020 killing of Breonna Taylor to 1 day in prison. Why? You know what's going to come, even for making the request, much less if the request is granted. How many marches have we already had for Breonna Taylor? So now that he's been convicted, now that you get the conviction against the cop, you're going to turn around and say, give him 1 day? This is going to be like George Floyd all over again. A stunning reversal of the unit's longstanding efforts to address racial disparities in policing. Last year, a federal jury in Kentucky convicted Brett Hankinson, the officer, of 1 count of violating Ms. Taylor's civil rights by using excessive force and discharging several shots through Ms. Taylor's window during a drug raid that went awry. He faces a maximum sentence of life in prison, and a judge will consider the government's request at a sentencing scheduled for next week. On Wednesday, Harmeet Dillon, the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, asked the judge in the case, Rebecca Grady Jennings, to sentence Mr. Hankinson to 1 day in prison, essentially the brief time he had served when he was charged, in the 3 years of supervised release. In the filing, Ms. Dillon suggested the prosecution was excessive, arguing that Biden Justice Department had secured a conviction against Mr. Hankinson after his acquittal on state charges and the ending of his first federal trial in a mistrial. Okay, so she's like, he really shouldn't have been convicted. In this case, 2 federal trials were ultimately necessary to obtain a unanimous verdict of guilt, Ms. Dillon wrote, adding that Mr. Hankinson, now a felon who was fired from his job 5 years ago, had already paid a substantial penalty for his actions. In other words, he was reckless, and now he shouldn't be ending his life over it. The jury's verdict will almost certainly ensure that defendant Hankinson never serves as a law enforcement officer again, and will also likely ensure that he never legally possesses a firearm again, the filing added. Such requests are typically filed by career prosecutors who worked on the case. Wednesday's filing was signed by Harmeet Dillon herself, a political appointee who is a veteran Republican Party activist with close ties to Trump and one of her deputies. Shortly after the department made its request public, the family's legal team issued a statement describing Miss Taylor's mother, Tamika Palmer, as heartbroken and angry. The family asked for one thing, that Brett Hankinson be sentenced in accordance with the law and federal guidelines, the lawyer wrote, adding, recommending just 1 day in prison sends the unmistakable message that white officers can violate the civil rights of Black Americans with near total impunity. I feel you. I feel you. This one I get. I get it. If you heard that your kids, you knew that your kid's civil rights have been violated, and that led to that your kid's accidental death, and that the perpetrator is getting 1 day in prison for it, you'd be pretty outraged. You would be. Samantha Treppel, a former attorney with Civil Rights Division, urged judge to ignore the recommendations, calling the filing transparent, last-minute political interference. Mr. Hankinson, who is white, was the only officer to be charged for his actions during a botched operation that prompted protests across the country. His shots did not kill Ms. Taylor. Oh, that changed. 26-year-old Black woman who worked as an emergency room technician. 2 other officers, also white, fired the fatal shots, but neither was charged. So how did he end up getting it? What is this?
Do not walk by yourself.
I don't know what this is.
This is our city.
That I kept telling John, I can hear her.
Paints a more complicated picture about how this raid was compromised from beginning to interviews officers gave to investigate has been impeded because none of the 7 police officers who raided her apartment used body cameras, a violation of police policy. But with the recent release of thousands of documents and images collected during 3 investigations.
Do you guys want me to watch this 18-minute breakdown as to how this whole thing was screwed up? This is a bad. This would get me upset if I'll tell you this. This would get me upset, but then I understand the counter of like he didn't fire the shots. He was just there. So now I ask, why didn't the person who ended up killing her get charged? The killing brought national attention to no-knock warrants. A judge initially signed off on such a warrant for Ms. Taylor's apartment. Officers were later instructed to announce themselves. Whether they complied remains an unresolved issue. I'm going to do a quick poll on this. Do you guys want me to check? Do you guys want me to watch the breakdown here? Because this is kind of interesting. I'm going to check the ghetto. Ghetto saying no, no. Zellian saying no. Critter sitters saying no, no, no. Hell no. All right. The chief of Louisville Metro Police Department was fired in the wake of protests of the killing. An report by the Justice Department 2 years ago found the department had shown a pattern of discriminating against black people. That's not good. Hundreds of lawyers and other staff members have left the Civil Rights Division, with veterans of the office saying they were driven out by Trump administration officials who want to aggressively pursue cases against the Ivy League, other schools, and liberal cities. Okay. Lawyers in the division traditionally saw their work as protecting the constitutional rights of minority communities and marginalized people. Shortly after Trump was sworn in for a second term, his appointees at the Justice Department ordered an immediate halt to all new civil rights cases or investigations and signaled they might back out of Biden-era agreements with police departments that engaged in discrimination or violence, according to 2 internal memos sent to staff. The actions, while expected, represent an abrupt about-face for a department that had, for the past 4 years, aggressively investigated high-profile instances of violence and systemic discrimination in local law enforcement and government agencies. They ordered a litigation freeze at the Civil Rights Division to decide whether Trump appointees want to initiate any new cases. A second memo ordered a similar freeze on department activity involving so-called consent decrees, agreements hashed out with local governments intended to address flawed police practices or bias based on race, ethnicity, gender. I remember covering the consent decrees, and Army Dillon has said that she hates them. She said they're stupid and they don't really work. In May, Ms. Dillon announced she was backing out of the Biden-era agreements with Louisville and Minneapolis that were intended to enact policing reforms in the wake of Taylor's killing and murder of George Floyd, calling them overbroad and bureaucratic. The moves were part of a larger effort spearheaded by Ms. Dillon and backed by senior White House officials to prioritize enforcement of Mr. Trump's culture war edicts, including participation of transgender women in sports, or the division's founding purpose of fighting race-based discrimination. So you can see how the Times feels about this. They're not very happy about this. The zealous and faithful pursuit of the section's mission requires the full dedication of this section's resources. So we don't have time for this. We're too busy fighting. We don't have time for your ridiculous critical race stuff. We want to focus instead on the DEI policies. I get it. That's what ends up happening. I want to see where my poll is at. So far from what I saw from the Let me see where my poll's at real quick. It's close. It's close. All right. But the majority, it's like 3/5, 2/5 against. So I'm going to end that poll here. And remind you to please like and subscribe if you have not yet done that. And make sure you check out goodlogic.locals.com because they are awesome and they put together tonight's show. All right, let's move along to the next one. So that was the second race thing we had. The third race thing we have is 14 people arrested after anti-migrant riots in southern Spain. Ooh, now we're going international. Look at the diggers. Total of 14 people have been arrested and extra police have been deployed after an attack on a pensioner sparked anti-migrant unrest in a small town in southern Spain. The reason I thought this could be significant is because we have not seen this happen here yet. But I think that what we see happening in other countries is likely indicative of what we should be alert for developing here. A total of 14 people have been arrested and extra police have been deployed after an attack on a pensioner sparked anti-migrant unrest in a small town in southern Spain. 3 people of North African origin have been detained on suspicion of attacking this 60-year-old man in Torre Pacheco last Wednesday. The unrest began after a video circulated on social media inflaming the town of 40,000 people, which is home to a large immigrant population. The pensioner and police later said the video was unrelated to the incident, but social media calls to find and attack the perpetrators multiplied quickly. By Friday, groups armed with batons could be seen roaming the streets of Torre Pacheco. One far-right group, they're always far-right, everyone's far-right. One far-right group called Deport Them Now called for attacks on people of North African origin. Further that does sound far right. Physically attacking them does sound kind of far right. Further messages on social media have called for renewed attacks on immigrants over 3 days this week. A leading member of the extremist group was detained in the northeastern town of Mataro on suspicion of spreading hate speech, because that's where speech is penalized. The 68-year-old victim of last Wednesday's attack, named locally as Dominguez, told Spanish media he was thrown to the ground and hit while taking his morning walk. A photo circulating on social media showed his face bearing extensive bruising. Police said the motive of the attack was unclear. Dominguez said he was not asked to hand over money or belongings and didn't understand the language his attackers were speaking. So, craziness happening there. This is not surprising. This should not be at all surprising. And I think that this is likely the first of what we should see many things of similar nature happening across the globe. This is a reaction to the trying to turn the globe into one village. It's going to build resentment. It's going to build resentment. That's just reality. So that's why I thought it was relevant. Here's another story about the same thing. Masked young man was seen down in the street on Saturday night. You can see that this is, wow. Looks pretty bad. Look at his eye. Ooh. This is horrible. Wow. Look at this. That's horrible. Wow. This is going to start to happen. And I'm not trying to excuse it. I'm saying it's better to understand reality than to pretend that it's not the case. I'm expecting more arrests. This is how you incite a civil war. And I think that's part of the agenda. I wanted to show you something. This is something Benny shared, which I thought was funny. We're gonna move on from that story because this is something I almost opened the show with because I was like, this is very funny. This is very funny. So, but I have a bunch more stories that I need to cover, both from the diggers and also from that Jim shared with me that I wanted to get to. So don't worry, I got plenty to cover here. I got plenty of work to go. All right, this was pretty good. This is what I almost started the show with, but obviously did not.
We've just arrived in the colonies because there was some bitching over a tiny 3% tax. Not that big a deal, but whatever, this will be easy.
What the actual fuck? Where the hell are they? Unless they're lined up 10 feet in front of me wearing bright blue uniforms, I can't see them. These guys are such assholes. What kind of a dickhead doesn't line up in a straight line and patiently take turns shooting one another?
Sir, these colonials are worse than gonorrhea. They hide behind trees and pick us off while we pass through single file wearing bright red. And you would know, Corporal, even though we're the superpower of the world, we still don't know how to counter this ingenious tactic of hiding behind trees.
God damn, we've been here 8 years and are just getting our shit pushed in. These boys weren't kidding. They really do hate taxes.
Okay, this is our last stand. We may have a chance if we just... Nope. Never mind, those ass-smelling f***s are here. I'm here in place of Cornwallis, because apparently he's really sick today, to deliver terms of surrender to that giant stud right there.
Historic POV vlogs of me.
That was really good. That was really good. And I agree with you. Yeah, he's never going to get old. Not all of it is good. Not all of it is equal. But you can count on me to do a pretty good job vetting. I'm not going to be giving you AI unless it's pretty funny.
You said no.
No, that wasn't what I wanted. All right. What else did I have here? Oh, this also came from our diggers. I haven't vetted this story yet, though. Former Voice of America employee indicted for threatening Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. All right. An indictment unsealed Tuesday in the District of Columbia charges a Maryland man. I wonder if it's that one. With influencing a federal official by threatening a family member, influencing a federal official by threat, interstate communications with a threat to kidnap or injure, and anonymous telecommunications harassment. The announcement was made by U.S. Attorney Janine Ferris-Pirro. Yeah, Janine Pirro, you know her. And Chief Michael G. Sullivan of the United States Capitol Police. Seth Jason of Edgewater, Maryland, was arrested by U.S. Capitol Police and the Anne Arundel Police Department early this morning. July 17, 2025. Jason will make his initial appearance this afternoon before a magistrate. According to the indictment, between October 11, 2023 and January 21, 2025, Jason made threatening calls to the Dalton and Rome district offices for Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Obviously, no one does anything about it under the Biden administration because they suck. And Merrick Garland sucked. And Chris Wray sucked. The U.S. Capitol Police investigation revealed that the phone calls were made from various phone lines connected to studios and control rooms at Voice of America headquarters. Oh, no! Where Jason had worked as a longtime employee. In 8 calls made over 15 months, Jason threatened the use of firearms to kill Representative Greene, her staff, and their families. The charges in this indictment are merely allegations, and every defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, at which point we lock them up and string them by their thumbs. The maximum penalty for influencing a federal official by threatening a family member and influencing a federal official by threat is 10 years. Maximum penalty, but that would be 10 years apiece, I would think. Maximum penalty for interstate communications with a threat to kidnap or injure is 5 years. Maximum penalty for anonymous telecommunications harassment is 2 years. Maximum statutory sentence prescribed by Congress is provide here for informational purposes only. If convicted of any offense, the defendant's sentence will be determined by the court based on advisory, blah, blah, blah. So there you go. There you go. Former Voice of America employee. Wow. Seth Jason. Poor Seth Jason. Poor Seth Jason. We all feel for you, Seth. We all feel for you. Let me see what else you guys gave me there. Mike Beauvoir. What is this? I wasn't going to cover this story, but everyone wants me to. What is this? What is this? This is my diggers. This is pretty. This is pretty funny. This is pretty funny. This is what my diggers put together. That actually really looks like me. That really looks like me. Well done. Well done indeed. A little Kool-Aid sign. I like the vest. Is that a shirt? That's really good. That is really good. Well done, G-Gum Sum Gum. Well done indeed. That's really good. What else do we have here? One more thing. What's this? Oh, okay. See, I see that it's about Judge Boasberg. I'm actually in the middle of working a video on that I'm hoping will drop tomorrow. If I finish here at some point tonight, then I'm still awake. But I'm hoping to drop this video tomorrow, talking about the whole thing with Judge Boasberg and Roberts. So I'm not going to go into that now. I see it, but I'm not going to be covering that now because you couldn't know that that's what I have. But that is something I plan on covering. Oh, Granny be good your nanny knows? Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. I see fans share that story also. So yeah, I plan on doing a video on that. Okay. Someone had shared it earlier. I wanted to get this. All right. I don't remember who shared it with me. Someone shared with me this story that broke at Coldplay. And I was like, am I really going to talk about this? Okay. I don't know if I believe this at all. Representative Anna Paulina Luna says Trump administration was playing 4D chess, operating quietly from behind the scenes with a larger plan in motion. She says the Epstein grand jury testimonies are just the start, with much more explosive information still to be revealed. There's nothing going to be exposed by the grand jury testimony. That's my prediction. Nothing. Right, yeah. That's pretty funny. Yeah, we don't need 4D chess. We don't need that. I don't need that. See, some of you are probably confused by this, so let me explain to you. Let me explain to you what it is.
Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You're okay? Oh, what?
That's at a Coldplay concert, I think last week.
Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy. I'm not quite sure. Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You're okay? Oh, what? Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
Yeah, it's not that they're shy. It's not that they're shy. No. So we can ask Grok about this. Give me the video.
All right, come on. You're okay? Oh, what?
Let me just do it this way. Yeah. So this is a CEO and head of human resources having an affair outed during a Coldplay concert. Andy Byron and Kristen Cabot from Astronomer, which is apparently some big tech company. He's a CEO of like a massive company. Wife's Facebook has already been found and people commenting on it. That's Andy Byron, looking much younger. That's Kristen Cabot, Chief People Officer. And that's him and her. Yeah. They're having problems. They're having problems. Excited to announce Beyond Analytics, the virtual data ops conference. Yeah. I'm just, dude, I'm just here for the comments. So y'all can see Sheila's wife during Coldplay concert. Yep. Yeah, this is not going to go well for him. He made a statement. He was mad at Coldplay. And Coldplay said, starting with our next show, we're introducing camera-free audience sections for people and their side pieces. Andy Byron released a statement where he's like, it's really wrong how they just put people on camera without getting their consent first. And that's why Coldplay responded with that. That's this Andy Byron. Definitely. 100% you charge extra for that. Release the Kraken. You tell him, Blasterbot. Release the freaking Kraken. I just don't know that it's coming. Who am I talking about? I saw someone asking, who am I talking? Who's Joe talking about? I'm talking about this Andy Byron person. Andy Byron from Astronomer. Andy Byron's wife, Megan Carrigan Byron. I don't know why they did that to her. Why you do that to her? Yeah. There's no reason to do that. That's wrong. Yeah, no, she'll be fine. This is a woman who's about to get rich and divorce. She's about to get rich in a divorce. I don't think she's going to wake up and her world's going to collapse. I'll bet anything she's not remotely surprised and that she's really pleased this happened. Chances are really high. Lady smiling ear to ear is Alyssa Stoddard, recently promoted to VP of People by Kristen Cobbett. Wow. Wow. Oh, Mo, no. Kristen Cabot's husband. Oh no. This is not good. I didn't know about this element of it. Why? I think he lost a lot of money. I think he lost a lot of money with this. Wow. Estrada Mario has removed comments and disabled comments. Andy Barron's wife now dropped her married name on Facebook and left comments open on her Facebook. That is a smart move. That's the right move. That's the right move. Wow. So she changed it to Meg Carrigan. Oh my God. Mrs. SpaceX, I don't know who this is, but she's having a field day with this. Those yams were generational. If he can betray the closest person to him, how will he treat your own business? It's rare to see HR departments take such exceptional care. Oh no! Oh no! Oh Dan! Oh Dan! Dan P. I don't know who you are. Rare to see HR departments take such exceptional care of staff. You must be so proud of them and their leader. Can another employee at this company provide a status update of the office environment in the moment, please? The incident will thank you. Oh my God. Where is this? Now I want to find this. Oh my God. It's on LinkedIn. Wow. It would have been cheaper.
Either they're living in the fan or it's very shy. I'm not quite sure what to do. People drunk on you?
Wow. Woo! Woo! That was pretty bad. That was pretty bad. Not going to kid you. That was pretty bad. That man about to go broke. That man's about to go broke. Wealthy man about to go broke. Her divorce lawyer is smiling ear to ear. Bet you anything she is. And yes, I said she is for reasons. All right. What else do I have for you guys here? I have a couple other stories that I wanted to cover for you that I had put aside here. I think I covered. Oh, okay. Let me see. Let me see if I have it here. One of the very first things. One of the very first things. Not this. One last thing that I got. I took it out of the rotation. I might have X'd it out. Let me see if I can find it here still. The very first thing that I was recommended to me. You know who you are. I gotta go all the way to the top here. All the way to the top. From Uzelian. Uzelian brought us this. I didn't think. If I have to sign it, I'm not doing that. They're making me sign in because I came back a second time to the same stupid article. Well, let me see if I can find this some other way. This is the story he wants me to cover. I use a different link than the one he gave me. Uzelian gave me. But Uzelian, you're having your moment here. Erotic mosaic. Yes. Held by Nazi officer goes on view in Pompeii. All right. What do we got here? Do it this way. There you go. That's the mosaic that was held. An ancient mosaic that may have been looted by a Nazi officer has returned to its home in Italy decades after being stolen. The mosaic depicts a bedroom scene and probably originated somewhere in the area around Mount Vesuvius, the volcano that erupted in 79 CE, trapping Pompeii in ash and effectively freezing the city in time. It shows a nearly nude woman reaching toward a reclining man who gazes at her. According to the Pompeii Archaeological Park, the mosaic was taken during World War II by a captain of the Wehrmacht, the Nazi Armed Force Division. The park said that this captain, quote, was responsible for the military supply chain in Italy during the Second World War, and that he donated the piece to a German citizen. Based on the park's announcement, it was not clear how the captain obtained the mosaic, which may have originally appeared on the floor of a domus or a villa. It also wasn't clear where the captain encountered the work from the park's release. The park said the mosaic has officially been repatriated to Italy with the aid of the Italian consulate in Stuttgart, Germany on September 16, 2023. Please note how properly I pronounce these German words. Nearly 2 years on, it's now on view to the public in Pompeii. Gabriel Zuchtreichel, director of the Pompeii Archaeological Park, said in a statement, quote, "Every looted artifact that returns is a wound that heals. So we express our gratitude to the protection unit for their work. The wound lies not so much in the material value of the work, but in its historical value, a value that is severely compromised by the illicit trafficking of antiquities. We don't know the artifact's exact provenance and likely never will. We will conduct further studies and archaeometric analyses to ascertain its authenticity and reconstruct its history to the extent possible." Zuchtreichel continued, "The study, knowledge, and public enjoyment of this heritage are the lotus flowers that grow in the mud of thefts driven by greed and selfishness." That's some beefy people. All right. So there you go. There you go. I don't know why I had to know. I don't know why you had to know that, but apparently Uzelian felt you did. Uzelian felt you had to know about this, so now you do. What we got here? A guy on Twitter posted that he was fired by astronomer today. He got the Coldplay tickets for Yeah, it's not that they're there together. That's not the problem. That's not. I don't like this guy, Andy. I don't like him. Okay, I want to explain to you why. Because see, the statement that he released is such a scummy statement. It's like I'm going to pretend that I'm making like an apology statement while still blaming. This is what this guy wrote. I don't like this. I don't like this, man. I'm going to be happy to follow this and find out that he's getting destroyed by his wife's divorce attorney. Statement from CEO Andy Byron. Quote, I want to acknowledge the moment that's been circulating online and the disappointment it's caused. What was supposed to be a night of music and joy turned into a deeply personal mistake playing out on a very public stage. I want to sincerely apologize to my wife, my family, and the team at Astronomer. You deserve better from me as a partner and as a father and as a leader. This is not who I want to be or how I want to represent the company I helped build. I'm taking time to reflect, take accountability, and to figure out the next steps. How to like not want to self-delete. Personally and professionally, I ask for privacy as I navigate that process. Now, that's where it should have ended, the statement. That's where it should have ended. Okay? That's where the statement should have ended. It should have ended right there. Should have ended right there. I also want to express how troubling it is that what should have been a private moment became public without my consent. I respect artists and entertainers, but I hope we can all think more deeply about the impact of turning someone else's life into a spectacle. As a friend once sang, which is probably Coldplay, lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I'll try to fix you. What the hell that has to do with his statement? I don't even know. Maybe that was written by the same jackass who wrote Enigma Never Ages. I don't know. I don't know what this means. Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I'll try to fix you. What does that do with what he just wrote? Beats the hell out of me, but it sounds really poetic. Look at this jackass. What a complete schmuck. What an utter schmuck this guy is. Look at this thing. Look at, just read it. Read it for yourself. I express how troubling it is that what should have been a private moment became public without my consent. You did it in public. You did it in public, buddy. Oh, boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. Oh, my God, I can't believe it. You did it in public. What did you think? What you thinking there? You did it in public. Should have been a private moment. I want to publicly express how angry I am I got caught. That's what he's saying here. I just want to let you all know I'm really pissed off I got caught and someone like actually shared that video publicly. I respect artists, and F you. You're such a schmuck. This guy's such a beta schmuck. This is your classic libtard talking thing. I hope we can all think more deeply about the impact of turning someone else's life into a spectacle. It was a kiss cam. People enjoy that. You know it's coming. They've been doing them for 20 years. Idiot. Idiot. You're the moron who decided to cozy up to your HR woman. Moron. And then basically look as if your hand was stuck in the frozen cookie jar there. Please. A boo-hoo for you. You want to sit there yelling about it. See, he should have ended this two paragraphs earlier. And then he's like the moral philosopher here. As a friend once sang, lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you. I'm sure this is a Coldplay song. I'll bet anything. It's his trying to show how uniquely clever he is. Oh, yes, how uniquely clever. Throw Coldplay's line back at them in a way that makes absolutely no sense at all. Let's see. Lights guide you home. And ignite your bones. don't even know what the line means even. Ignite your bones. Yeah, it's Fix You by Coldplay. And I'll try to fix you. Yeah, okay, yeah. Lights of God, your home, ignite your bones, and I'll try to fix you. Yeah, as a friend once saying, "Shut up, jackass." What an utter jackass. Yeah, this guy's a schmuck. What an utter schmuck. What a prick. Gosh, ugh, what a terrible. Yes, I don't know anything about this guy other than the video, how he reacted when what we see everyone sees in the video, the fact that he's married, and this statement. And I'm telling you right now, this guy is a jackass. Okay, he's 100% a jackass. He's a jackass for cheating on his wife. He's a jackass, coward, cuck. The way he's like trying to hide his face there like that, and only made it much worse. And he's a jackass for writing this, where he's trying to show, oh, I'm just gonna pass judgment on you. Like, I'm taking responsibility, but at the same time telling you how wrong the other people are. You're a loser. Oh my God. I'm so glad to see this loser humiliated and going broke. Go cry, Andy. Go cry. Oh, gosh, I'm disgusted by this guy. What the hell does this line even mean? So think about the impact of turning someone else's life into a spectacle. What does that have to do with lights will guide you home, ignite your bones, and I'll try to fix it? Doofus. I'm an idiot. He didn't call himself husband. He used partner. I don't know. In this statement over here, he says my wife, so my family and team astronomer. So I don't know. TM new statement after PR got a hold of him. It was a new statement. Oh, here's his new statement. Thank you for sharing this, Kathy. Statement from our CEO, Andy Byron. Quote, let me start by apologizing to my family, my wife, and our wonderful employees. My behavior is inexcusable, and the shame I'm receiving is well-deserved. I tried to hide my actions, but the truth has finally been revealed. I am a Coldplay fan, and not just of the first two albums. I also like the recent stuff. I'm going to take some time to contemplate my future. Please respect our family's privacy at this time. That's a lot better. That's a lot better. All right. Oh yeah, okay. This is something that I definitely wanted to cover, and I ended up not covering yet. But this was a big thing. So Emil Bove is getting confirmed. That means you have to go through the Senate Judiciary Committee, and there was a moment which became kind of crazy. A moment that went kind of crazy. Where the Democrats started acting very childishly and getting very mad. Here is, he's supposed to be confirmed. What was the role that he's supposed to be? I forgot the role. Well, Mike Davis here writes, The Democrats' childish behavior in the Senate Judiciary Committee meeting showed they truly have no real arguments against Emil Bove, a bold and fearless defender of the Constitution. Bove has the qualifications and temperament for the job, is unafraid to put a stop to illegal and unconstitutional attacks on the executive branch. At his hearing, Emil Bove proved that President Trump made an excellent choice in his nomination. The left fears Bove because he's effective. The establishment resents him because he doesn't play their game, but the American people need judges like, oh, he's supposed to be a judge, like Emil Bove, serious constitutionalists who apply the law as written, stand firm in the face of pressure, and don't bend to the woke mob or media intimidation. As the full Senate prepares to consider his nomination, the choice is clear. Emil Bove has the intellect, integrity, and the backbone to serve with distinction on the Third Circuit. The Article 3 project urges every senator to confirm a nominee who will defend the Constitution, enforce the rule of law, and never flinch in the face of adversity. Emil Bove deserves a swift and overwhelming confirmation. All right. Here is their little tantrum, led by none other than my senator, Cory Booker. As we listen to Cory, please note how whenever he's angry, he sounds like a trans man. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
Integrity, how could you be doing this? At least with integrity, how could you be doing this? At least have a vote on my point of order. Sir, with all appeals to your decency, with all appeals to your integrity, with all appeals to past jurisdiction and past precedent, why are you doing this? This is outrageous.
This is a kangaroo court. That's how we have here,
This
Mr.
is
Chairman.
wrong. To violate your own rules without going by the mandates of the parliamentarian. This is unbelievable. There's a way to do this. If you want to force this through, if you want to ram this through, there's a way to do it in accordance to the rules as spelled out by the parliamentarian. It is simple. It is clear. There's a pathway to achieve what you're trying to achieve. But, sir, this lacks decency. It lacks decorum. It shows that you do not want to simply hear from your colleagues. This is absolutely wrong. Integrity, how could you be doing this?
I am curious what led to this. Maybe Grok can tell me. I saw this earlier. Super Grok. To the Democrat outburst during Emil Bove confirmation. Several contentious issues surrounding his nomination and the conduct of the Senate Judiciary Committee proceedings. The key factors and the contributing to the Democrats' reaction include a whistleblower complaint by Erez Ruveni, a former Justice Department lawyer, alleged that Bove, a senior Justice Department official and former attorney for President Trump, suggested in a March meeting that the department might need to defy court orders to execute Trump's deportation agenda, reportedly using an expletive to emphasize disregarding judicial rulings. Ruveni's detailed 27-page account, supported by emails and texts, accused Bove of advocating for ignoring court orders to deport migrants to a high-security prison in El Salvador, raising serious ethical concerns about Bove's fitness for a lifetime judicial appointment. Democrats, including Transman, and you notice how his name, how my senator's first name is Cory, which I'll just point out to you, could be a boy, could be a girl's name. Cory Booker and Richard Blumenthal pressed Bove on these allegations during the June 25th, 2025 hearing, but he denied advising anyone to violate court orders. And claimed no recollection of using the profanity. Bove's role, but why today? Why did they freak out today? Bove's role in controversial judicial department actions, Democrats criticized Bo for his involvement in dismissing federal corruption charges against New York City Mayor Adams. He was mad about that. That's okay. During the hearing, Bo frequently declined to answer questions about his Justice Department tenure, citing privileges like attorney-client and deliberative processes privilege, which Democrats, including Booker, found evasive and unacceptable for a judicial nominee. No one really cares. Booker accused Bo of perjury, claiming his responses contradicted evidence, such as Ruvani's accounts. That's not perjury. It just means I'm telling you Ruvani's a liar. The most dramatic outburst occurred during July 17th Senate Judiciary Committee meeting when Republicans, led by Chairman Chuck Grassley, moved to vote on Bo's nomination before all Democrats could speak. Oh, that's why they're mad, prompting a walkout by Democrat senators. Booker loudly protested, calling the move an abuse of power and a violation of committee decorum, arguing it silenced debate on a controversial nominee. Democrats also objected to Grassley's refusal to allow Ruvani to testify or to delay the vote for further investigation, viewing as a rushed effort to advance Trump's nominee. Oh, so that's why he was whining. All right, so they're taking a vote. Here's Norm Eisen complaining about it. Unprecedented 75 former federal judges signed on to a letter opposing Bo's nomination. No one cares, jackass. I think this guy needs to be indicted. I think he's orchestrating plans to try, and I think that what he's doing is treasonous, the way he's trying to orchestrate plans to try and thwart the agenda of Trump. And I think that they need to put together a case and charge him with sedition. This guy. Norm Eisen.
Anna, we don't even know if Bove.
Listen to this voice. I'm not even sure it's mechanical. I don't know what's happening here.
Will get through the Senate because, of course, if the current status quo holds, it does appear that he has the votes. But who's to say, with the drama today, with the attention to this, that more information won't come out between now and the eventual vote? We also don't know what the parliamentarian will do with this. I saw Bove myself.
What the hell can the parliamentarian do? This is the stupidest thing in the world.
Because I covered the Trump criminal trial where Donald Trump was convicted despite Bove's efforts. And there was an issue of dishonesty in that trial. I saw something I've never seen before, Anna. The judge felt that Bove misled the jury in examining a witness, and he required Bove the next morning to apologize to the jury. So this pattern is profoundly...
I've seen that. I think that happened 3 times during the Diddy trial.
Concerning at democracy
It didn't happen. It did not. I'm kidding. But I've seen that happen.
Defenders, we also worked on that letter. Over 75 federal and state judges. That has never happened before with a judicial nominee.
What do you mean we worked on that letter? Why is this your letter? Why is this your thing? That's what I'm saying. This guy, I'm telling you right now, this guy is so connected, and he is one of the main orchestrators of trying to do everything possible to thwart Trump's agenda. That's what I'm telling you. And I'm telling you, you look into him deep enough, you're going to find sedition charges. That's my expectation. Right?
All the red flags are waving here.
Shut up. All the red flags.
And hopefully the Congress will do the right thing and not move Bove or others like Jeanine Pirro. They're totally unqualified.
Hopefully you'll get a brain aneurysm and America will be saved from you. Hopefully. I don't want any individual to strike you down. Definitely not. And I certainly would be very upset if any individual did. But I'd be very pleased if God did. Okay? Because I think he's a terrible human being who makes America a worse place. He makes life worse for Americans. So, there you go. I'm not into the Luigi type of vengeance. I think that's wrong and terrible and evil and inexcusable. But yeah, if God strikes him down, that'll probably be a good thing. I'd give God a thumbs up for that one. I saw this thing that he's giving me here. What is this? All right, we're going to close with a thought experiment here. Let's close with a thought experiment. Here we go. Yep. This is from Shipwreck Crew giving a thought experiment. I'm going to come to your hometown with my retired DOJ ID and bring along a retired friend of mine. We're going to go to the principal and teachers at the school where your kids attend, and we're going to tell them that you are a Adobe Acrobat file. We can't tell them how we know, but we just want them to know what we know about you. Then we're going to attend the Sunday service at the church you attend and share the same information with the parishioners who are your friends and neighbors. Then we're going to attend a morning meeting at the Optimist Club where you're a member and repeat what we know about you and just assure them that the information is in government records that they can't see, but it's there. Then we'll go to the VP of personnel of the company where you're at, where you're a senior manager and supervise close to 100 people. They will learn the same information. Then I'm going to leave town and never return. You can then go about trying to repair your reputation in the community. That's what innocent people whose names are contained in the Epstein files would face if they were just opened up to public scrutiny. Yeah. I still think that we need to expose the deep state here. Sorry. I think we need to expose the deep state. Just that's reality. His point here is that very likely could happen to someone whose name comes out in the Epstein files who may be innocent. So, if that's the concern, so in that case, you wouldn't be surprised if something like that would happen to anyone whose name is linked to it, right? Weissman put a group together to use lawfare against Trump. He's behind the majority of lawsuits against Trump. Hence, he rounded up judges' signatures. Immunizement. Right? Immunizement. That's the same thing. It's the same thing. McCarthy, you know how people talk about McCarthyism? McCarthy was right. Okay? When he was labeling all the communists, he was right. People look at it as like, oh, it's McCarthy. The whole McCarthy Red Scare of the 1950s. He was telling the truth. There's no difference between the Democrats and they are, that's where they are the Marxists. No offense to Shipley, but I'd probably be more worried about strangers hunting me down to physically harm me if I was public. That's a great point. That's a great point. Well done, Malcolm. That's true. They're much more. Yeah. Yeah. So I certainly hope that doesn't happen to anyone who's wrongfully implicated in those files. But that doesn't mean that because of that, the public should be left in the dark or that we should just trust them. Just, hey, trust me, bro. Trust me, bro. Wasn't the way to go. Wasn't the way. Wasn't the way to go. And I'm very, I'll tell you right now, I think that when people see how little is in there, I think in those transcripts, because I think that those cases were probably all about the bucket A, personal abuse by Epstein, and very little of the bucket B. We need to know what's in those files. We need to know about investigations into who was helping Epstein get this done. Because one of the things we need to understand is that if you are Jeffrey Epstein and you are interested in farming this out to third parties, it's not an easy topic to bring up. It's not easy to find folks like that. Unless he's doing, how did he come in touch to know that Prince Andrew might have an interest in that sort of thing? How would you know that? Maybe you could drop hints and see how he responds, I guess. Guess that's possible. It's not the sort of thing you just bring up, right? So, yeah, assuming there is bucket B stuff, people who are involved beyond just Prince Andrew, beyond Bill Clinton, and I'll tell you right now, Bill Clinton, I'm confident is on that list. I'm confident that Bill Clinton's name is all over that list. People don't talk about Bill Clinton association with Epstein enough. I'm positive he's all over that. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if about the Jimmy Savile case, whether or not he was close to her. Jimmy Savile was a British wealthy guy, and he was their Epstein. Anyhow, that's my show, and I'm sticking to it. We made it through our 3 hours. I need to get some. What's the matter, Pat? What's the matter? What's the matter? What don't you agree with me on? What do we disagree? Let's sort it. I want to sort it out with you. Nope, the show's not ending. Show's not ending. What? Let's work it out. Let's work it out, Pat. Let's work it out. Come on. I'm here for you. I found the sweet spot on my mic also. I see how it's like it feels like it's resonating properly. So I found the sweet spot on my mic. So tell me what it is. Spell it out. Where do you think I'm wrong? Tell me. We're all waiting. Who's the Jew? Aussie Mark. Who's the Jew? Tell me who the Jew is. Let's go get him. Who? Who's the Jew? Is it Trump? Is that who it is? Is it Pam Bondi? Is it Kash Patel? Is Dan Bongino? Who's the Jew defending the pedos? Tell me about it. He left really quick if he did. They're FHA members, future whores. I don't even know who you're referring to. That means I did my job well. Oh, you meant to put Joe. Where was I defending Clintons or pedos? I was reading to you a thought experiment and telling you I disagree as to why it would be bad to expose the Epstein files and telling you I disagreed with it. So where was I defending that? Where was I defending that? That's pretty funny. That's funny because God did put the Levites in charge. That's what makes it funny. All right. I think Pat has left the building. Next time, Pat. Next time. You. Well, I have you here. I'll just remind you tomorrow's Friday, so I'm off. And we're heading into a weekend. So sometime in front of you, you might think to yourself, there might be a barbecue going on. You smell something and be like, it smells pretty good. What is that? Your friend will say to you, hey, I just got some brand new lab meat. And those are some lab frankfurters up there. Do not eat lab meat. Don't do it. It's not meant for you. It's meant for they, them. Not for you. Not for you. 16, 17-year-old paid well for their services. Oldest scam. Yeah, I can't go along with you on this. If you're telling me that these victims and that this isn't, I can't, Dick. I'm sorry. I can't go along with that. If you're telling me no, I can't. No, I can't. I can't. 16-year-olds. And look, I've read all about Virginia Giuffre. Okay, she was a weird person. She was trafficked, escaped, and then went back to being trafficked by a different person. Okay, she's a weird person. She had a weird life. Yeah, but all that being said, this was genuinely evil. What was happening here? So I can't abide by that. I can't. I'm sorry. And also, they weren't really 16 or 17. He reportedly had a particular affinity for the ones who looked pre-pubescent. He was one sick mother effer. Completely sick. Like, I vaguely recall Carolyn testifying in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial that her period of service for working for Jeffrey Epstein ended when she started developing breasts because that was a turnoff for him. Okay, this was a sick F. There's no other way to describe it. So, anyhow, some were 14. Carolyn said she was 12 when she started. Just sick. Anyway. Do not eat the bugs. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. I hope you enjoyed the show. I had a great time, and I want to thank the diggers, following people who helped me out with this show tonight. First and foremost, we got Jim Satella, who was awesome and helped me out. And the other people who provided links from Locals, which I suggest that you sign up in Locals so you can help me, include Unwise Wise Man, Uzelian. It includes folks like JKV5271. It includes folks like Luke 12:2, Granny Be Good, and folks like others who came in later. Where are you? I'm seeing the same names a lot. Fans came in and helped, and that's most of them. Okay, Renee Collins came in there, and more from fans, and I think that was it. And Catchnet. Yes. All right. No bugs. Good night, everyone. And as always, Godspeed.